Hey, screeners, how you doing? It's myself, the 1AJ, Anthony Jordan.
We're live. Me too, Nico Duro.
We are live indeed. We are live indeed. Wow. Well, he's posted us at all. 100 episodes in his house.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Actually, while we do this,
Yes.
Nick, just shift to the left or to the right so they can see the big 100. Oh, yeah. That is the one. So that is us. We are here. So because this is live, this is us. Just our way of saying thank you to you guys right now for being with us. 20,000 plus. Now we've done YouTube before for the very long-standing followers out there. We went into a podcast platform, and it's weird that we didn't. You keep going, and then you realize that bang, here we are, 100 episodes, and we are eternally grateful.
It's grateful doesn't begin to sum up how I feel. It's been quite a journey because this doesn't just go back 100 episodes. This goes back 5 years essentially to 2015 when we both got back together after me having lived on the other side of the world for the best part of 10 years. And we were both like, do you know what? We have the tools readily available now to talk film.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We tried on YouTube and we both suffered a little thing called burnout.
It takes a lot. It takes a lot. It really... It takes a lot, but guys, don't get me wrong. We are doing this on YouTube, Facebook Live. Again, guys, I've seen a like up there already. We've got some viewers up there. Share. We're here. But it does take a lot in terms of trying to find the dynamics. And I'm not saying we got lazy, but we were like, you know what? People don't need to see what we look like. we just podcast and it's there. But we've the numbers are going up. I love you guys. Yeah. We just thought let's do this. Let's come back. Let's give back to everyone. Maybe you might see more of the silver screen dudes on the big screen.
It's a plan.
Yeah, we're doing what we can, and we're just again, go back to 5 years and burnout, and we are grateful. When you saw your 1 likes, your 2 views, and what have you. And I'm not hating on those because I love each and every one of you guys who've done that from the beginning.
But to believe that that's great.
From all of that transition to 3.something K viewers on YouTube, 20,000 plus listeners on various platforms, guys.
That's the one I love.
Big Picture Film Club, guys. Thank you very much. Hey. Yes. Loving you guys as well. So I really appreciate everything from this. And yeah, we just thought we have to do this. And we're here.
But this is what I was saying. It's been such an incredible journey because YouTube burned us out. It just the format, the competition, not to say I'm not a fan of healthy competition, don't get me wrong, but the amount of time that goes into producing a YouTube video and the fact that, we're not a big organization. It was just essentially the 2 of us recording every Sunday and then uploading content throughout the week. We burned out and, we turned to each other and we said, we need to figure out another format. And that's where the podcast came from. And the podcast, we tried doing it very all neat, arty-farty, fatty at the beginning to, try, to be exactly what I just said. That didn't work. It was a plateau of growth. Then we both said, fuck it. We said, we're just going to do this as if it was a fly on the wall, almost like a mockumentary style. The 2 dudes in the living room talking to each other, unedited, unadulterated. And from that, we went from having a few hundred followers on the podcast to having over 20,000.
Yeah.
And people in India, in the United States, in Argentina, in Brazil. This isn't just local to London.
Excuse me. Croydon.
Yeah, I still don't know how that's happening. But 38 countries around the world listen to us with 20,000 plus people and growing. And it's just humbling. It's so humbling. And even that message I sent you the other day, I was on the way to Tesco to pick up The Last of Us 2, which is, by the way, incredible. Absolutely incredible. And
congrats on that.
This message from Fargo, North Dakota saying, hey, I listen to you guys too. And it's, I want to shout out this girl. Because I'm completely...
Can I just say, she's also started to follow us on Insta. So I'm really appreciative of the support.
Dude, I love everything about her because you look at her. She's the coach of the North Dakota State University basketball team. Shout out to the entire North Dakota State University basketball team. Some of them are following us now too on Twitter. The fact that she's said things like, hey, edutainment is now part of my vote. The fact that she listens to us in the car on the way to work and says that we bring a smile to her face. I just want to bring up her Twitter handle here because this brought such happiness to me. I can't tell you. Where is it? My apologies. This is really, really unprepared and bad.
But this is Silver Screen Dudes. This is how we do. We lifted the curtain, as you said in the podcast. Okay.
Morgan Page. Find her at page 05, the head coach or assistant coach of the North Dakota State University basketball team. Just read her Twitter. The girl is just awesome. I love everything she says. I love everything she tweets. I love everything that she stands for. And I love the fact that she's really, really, really into our show and is telling people in North Dakota about it because it's the 5th biggest place in the world that listens to us. It's incredible.
Yeah. There was a smile. There was a smile, guys. I don't think you guys can appreciate what comes out of this. As I said, this is 2 friends who go back from high school days, and
dude, we're coming up. We are here. 20 years. Coming up for it.
This isn't Throwback Thursday, even though it is a Thursday. We didn't have to show that. Thank you very much. But yes, it's true. Yes, 20 years is on the brink. This is what we do. And, in a way, as much as we say there is a burnout, we're expanding. We're back on social networks to distribute. We're doing wrestling podcasts. We are talking other stuff that may come out in the future. Like, we love you guys and we love the love that you're giving it, guys. So honestly, thank you very much. And on. So yeah.
I want to say thank you to everyone who stuck with us over the years. I want to say welcome to the new people. I want to thank everyone who's guested on our show. So Jazz from the People's Polygraph, Ant, who's been on regularly. I want to thank Big Picture Film Club, who did one of our highest ever ranking episodes when we did directorial debuts. We've got more guests, which we're working on. We will be teaming with Big Picture Film Club again.
For sure.
Please go and follow them. Hopefully by that time, our home studio will actually be ready, but that's a big investment.
Hey, if not, there's a platform right here that welcomes you guys.
Investing any money at the moment, well, I can't say the words because otherwise, if we're on YouTube, you can't say the word, but, the global bastard as it's known. I don't know why YouTube doesn't allow us to report that, but hey-ho.
I actually didn't know.
We're not allowed to say it. If we're on YouTube, we can't say it.
Interesting. And I'm not going to test it because
don't
really ruin our first line. But I'm sure I've used it on other stuff. www.silverscreendudes.com to find out where I'm talking about. But yeah, number 19 is. I think we all understand that, so we'll work with that. Yeah.
It's named after a nice beer.
That's the one. Yeah. No. So guys, thank you. So as anyone who's listened to the podcast hasn't actually got this, and as much as he does his intro, I'm gonna really try my best to do this because this was pre-recorded once and I've never done it again.
What are you doing, AJ?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Silver Screen Dudes proudly brings to you the Silver Screen Dudes, the one AJ Anthony Jordan, the nation's favorite film critic, now also known as Double V, Nicolero, the Silver Screen Dudes.
You nearly got it.
I should have invited Zany. He would correct me like, what are you doing?
I'll tell you what's going to be really weird is for the people who aren't catching this live and who listen to that on the podcast, it's going to be...
They're going to hear it twice.
It's going to be better as hell hearing that twice.
But this is it. This is our appreciation, guys. This is live. Nico said it in the podcast yesterday. There are people in India. Well, we just said it at the top of this. There are people in India. There are people in the States. We are here in the UK. We've got Australia. We are, I feel so big-headed saying it, but we are global. It's very hard to find the right time. So we've worked with a time that kind of worked with a decent time. Yeah, as much as we can.
I don't imagine we've got anyone watching us in Australia because that's a whole different time.
Yeah, 10 past 3 in the morning, no?
It's late in India. I can say that. And it's early in Dakota. It's Dakota. Fargo, North Dakota, rather.
And I'm guessing even for Argentina, they're probably in around the same kind of time span.
Man wants that love from August Fernandez Brito.
Yeah. Hey, listen. I have to put out a big shout out. So we haven't done this before, right? In terms of doing a whole live. I was testing it yesterday. I got caught by 2 people. So apologies. The video's not there to be seen. It's not in the blooper reel. It's been deleted forever. YouTube asked me, are you sure? I said, yes, it's done. It's gone. Those who saw it, done.
Anya saw it. She literally be going, why is AJ uploading to the channel? I'm like, is he?
No, it's not. Prove it. Prove it. So, yeah. But guys, here we go.
I'm sure we've got some new viewers. We've given ourselves enough of a pat on the back. In fact, we've given ourselves such a pat on the back, I'm a little bit afraid of breaking the old arm. People are here to hear us talk about movies.
This is the one. So, for the first time ever, actually, ever on YouTube platform ever, Nico, please tell everyone what the movie Mount Rushmore is about.
So for those of you tuning in for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. If you are listening to this on the podcast stream, please be sure to share this podcast with all the movie fans that you may know. If you're listening to us on iTunes, please leave a 5-star review. And please, please, please don't forget to leave a written review. Really helps us. How does the movie Mount Rushmore work? AJ and I each get assigned a topic. We go our separate ways and we come back live and deliver to you, the Silver Screen Dudes, our individual top 10s. This week, I will go first, delivering my bottom 3. AJ will then deliver his bottom 3. I will deliver my next 2. AJ will deliver his next 2. And then we will trade one apiece. If at any stage while we are going through our list and one of us has a movie in a higher position, that person will say,
punt.
And talk about that film when we get to the higher position. Once we have both rounded up our individual top 10s, we will create the movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential diverse must-see movies of this topic, which this week is...
Aha! Do you know what? I've written it down, and you should be able to see it if you're watching it live. But it is the 100 episodes of the great movie Mount Rushmore, films between 1930 and 1949.
Yes, we're doing classics. And you know what? One thing we need to mention right off the top of the bat, right, before even getting into our list. Episode 100 is a 2-parter.
You can read it. Anyone watching on Facebook or YouTube will see it. It says part 1.
You know
okay.
You know why? Because we're 100 episodes in. We're classic now.
We had to bring it back.
So we are going to go through this week and next week 40 years of film. This week we're doing 20. 1930 to 1949.
That's the one.
It's going to be good.
You can kind of figure out what the next part is, but if you can't, tune in until next week. And again, guys, another part of doing this whole thing is we've done the Golden Age. We are the Silver Screen Dudes, so we tried to find something in line with Silver and the Silver Age. Doesn't really exist unless you're talking Disney animation. And this one's for you, Fargo. We're here to edutain you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why that was the topic that we worked with, and we're like, let's take it back. We were edutaining ourselves with this one. I have to be real. So
Morgan Page, if you're listening to us in the car and you heard that edutainment, that one was for you.
Indeed it was. Indeed it was, Morgan.
For you. Okay.
Okay, so
before getting into the list, I'd like to preface this by saying one small little thing. I had a very, very good time with this list. Now, I'll add 2 things, actually. We very recently did Golden Age movies, which was from 1941 to 1954, I believe it was. That's what's qualified.
Yeah, 41
to 54, I believe. But people far more intelligent and knowing than us have qualified that period as the Golden Age of Hollywood. There might be a little bit of crossover. I have, where possible, done my absolute best to not include any of the movies that came up during the Golden Age. I think there was one that made it in, but I couldn't leave it off. It's not the one you expect, AJ. But yeah, I couldn't. There was one in particular.
To be fair, there are 2 films. I can't remember the exact years. They really can't. We've mentioned them a few times now, so I think they kind of didn't make my list.
Right.
Even potentially.
It's same here. So if we've waxed lyrical about them a lot recently, I've done my best to not go over and, regurgitate what we've already spoken about quite recently. So with that said, I'm also going to add that this is a very funny period in film from 1930 to 1949. The first 2 years of pre-code before, all of the code of conduct and the standards by which the film industry has to abide by were written. So especially 1930, 31, and 32, pre-code movies as they're known, I found them very different to movies that came after 1932 because essentially they were following their own set of rules. They did what they wanted. Post 1932 up to 1949, working within the code that the industry set out for filmmakers to work within, I found it fascinating that the film industry hadn't quite found its feet yet. It was almost as if the ideas were there, the concepts and themes are already in place because, going back all the way to Shakespeare, the themes of storytelling are pretty much going to be continuous throughout history and they're never going to change unless someone comes up with something new, which I highly doubt. But I feel like Hollywood hadn't quite learned the artistry of making film yet. There are some exceptions on my list. My number one, notably, completely eradicates everything I've just said. But for most part, they're very funny, they're very charming, and the fact that they haven't quite found their feet yet lends to that charm. But yeah, it was a funny old list. Did you have the same sort of feeling?
I did. You kind of feel some parts. Some of them I really enjoyed. Some you can really feel that transition. This one on the list, it's kind of low on the list because you can feel like you have a passion for that side, whereas we've moved on. But I really did enjoy it. I was actually wanting more, which is something I really, really enjoyed about the situation, is that you feel the need. As a younger kid, you look back and you think, black and white, I don't want to see it, I don't want to know.
You do.
This gave me a different feeling. This told me you can really appreciate them. And you get some really good comedy out of some stuff. And other jokes that you've heard along the way, like, you got it from there. Mm-hmm. So, I had a good time with it. There's so much more I wanted to cover. Time just doesn't permit it, guys. We talked about the burnout earlier on. You kind of get that vibe. But yes, okay, sir. We've waxed on.
Let's finally talk about movies.
Here we go.
60 minutes in. Right, my number 10. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say you're going to say punt on me here.
Okay.
My number 10 from 1940, Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator.
Okay, my number 9.
Let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk. Indeed, I'm going to bring myself back in. So, just to be fancy,
There's mine.
I got these in order. Is mine there?
Hey,
there we go. Yeah, different version, but we are there indeed. So this is the one that I felt was the most guilty, dare I say. I shouldn't let you start, but of that, you could see the transition, and Charlie Chaplin was the star of silent movies. Yes. And in this film, especially in the beginning, I really felt it. I was looking at it and I was like, there was a point I actually forgot, did he speak or not? Because he said like one word or so, and then the way he was running around just was so silent. I was like, yeah, you're still there. You're still in that world. But no, great fun.
Can I tell you, actually, it's that first 20 minutes that I liked the most. And it's not because of some sort of romantic nostalgia I feel towards the silent era of film. I know very little about it, and I imagine it's something that, moving forward, we will discuss in greater detail. But I thought this film was quite guilty of being a bit of a tonal mess. So, whereby the first 20-25 minutes, I'll openly admit, had me in stitches laughing. Absolute stitches. It completely tongue-in-cheek, silly as you like,
Yeah.
The essence of slapstick comedy, really. But I'm a big fan of slapstick. I loved everything about it. And, when he's hanging upside down out the plane, would you care for a cigarette? Not right now. It's really good. Yeah. And I like the fact that it was, poking a bit of fun at Adolf Hitler and poking a lot of fun at
a lot of fun.
I mean, you can see in the background behind me here, like the two crosses here, these two, piss take of the swastika,
Clearly.
And that's where the movie goes a bit wrong, because while the initial novelty, at least through the prism of a 21st century cinema watcher, the novelty of seeing that was initially refreshing, I then thought, okay, get on with it. Really, really get on with it now. It is stark with the Kameraden, all of those overly emphatic imitations he does of Hitler.
Yeah.
Initially funny, bit tedious by the end of it. And Speaking of the end, without giving anything away, because that's another thing we do on the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast, just in case you haven't seen these movies, we won't give major points.
Yeah.
But whereby at the ending, he gives this beautiful speech, which arguably could have been one of the best monologues.
Yes, I thought that as well. I thought we kind of missed that one.
Brilliant speech. That end is so at odds with that beginning, and that's why I thought, what are you? Are you a historical comedy, a slapstick comedy / slapstick comedy, or are you going for serious here? And it was that lack of direction, that lack of, I guess, lack of self-assuredness, where it's like, okay, I'm going to do a comedy, or no, I'm going to have, bearing in mind this was made in 1940 at the height of the Second World War.
This is it.
Got to give Chaplin, kudos for having balls of solid steel here. Hitler was alive and kicking, and he's putting out movies like this. So he's brave. He's clearly brave. Power to him. But either go for a comedy or go for a dramatic critique. The two of them mixed didn't work for me.
Do you know one of the things that I think will really? It's difficult. One, the way stuff were approached is very difficult. But as you said, the affinity for having not lived in that era and that period, a lot of art, dare I call it, whether it be actual paintings, whether it be films, whether it be music, was very propaganda based. So I believe, I mean, I'm not educating you on this one, but the defense to it is, I think it's hard for us to embrace it as much as you would have back then, because to us we're like, whoa, but that I'm not saying I don't know a German version of anything that took the piss out of Churchill or anything along that line, but there's just that element that I'm like, well, it's very of its time. It is very of its time in terms of having to appreciate it, because especially in the fact where we actually embrace Germany now. Shout out Annika and Malta when I say that, but like you just can't really, it's like, okay, I get the joke, but enough now. Like for us, it's a 15-minute sketch, not an entire film, and that's where it falls short.
But yeah, compound that with the fact that bookended on this what should have been a 15-minute comedy sketch turning into quite a substantial film, then having this really serious speech at the end of it.
Yeah, but I think it's just that motivational propaganda. Very hard to go through.
Well, yeah. I have to say, I did quite like the relationship between Hinkle, aka Hitler, and their take on Benito Mussolini. I thought that was
No, it was fun.
Look, I wanted to love this film more.
Same. I had that same feeling.
It's in his mind, as he's said numerous times, this is his crowning achievement. I'll say something unpopular. I've seen him better than this.
No, for sure. Also, guys, I just want to put it out there. We can actually take any comments in. So this is as interactive as you want. You hit us up on Facebook or YouTube on any of the films that we bring up. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to say, even like you have no clue where your ranking is, because both of us have this in our bottom three. Feel free to hit us up and we will show it on screen. We will not cover up anything. Please keep it clean. It is 3 o'clock in the UK. We do have young children watching. But apart from that, hit us up.
Is Zany watching?
He better be.
Zany, comment now.
But yeah, I just want to put that.
I hurt you, innit?
I don't know if he's talking to you yet. But yeah, okay. Over to you once again. So with your number 9.
Again, I'm going to take a stab. I was wrong with my previous guess. I have a feeling we're going to say punt here. My number 9, from 1939, The Wizard of Oz.
Would you like another one just to prove my point?
Okay. For
that's a punt.
Audio listeners,
that silence and giggle was a punt. Indeed, that was indeed a punt. Yeah,
had a feeling.
Was definitely a punt.
All right, my number 8, a film which I found inherently charming. Anya did not care for this. I loved it. From 1938, Bringing Up Baby.
Okay, must admit that one missed me.
That one missed you. Okay, let me hook everything up here. There's the badger. And we are good to go. Now, people are wondering, why is there a leopard in the background? Well, that's Baby. This film it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. It's got a great cast in it. Katharine Hepburn at the height of her powers. I'll make a confession here. Who's Katharine Hepburn's sister?
Hit me. I'll show the confusion. I don't know. Hit me.
Most people would say Katharine Hepburn's sister would be Audrey Hepburn, right?
No relation, from what I know. That I do know.
I did not know that. This guy thought it was Audrey. And it sort of struck me. It's like I knew, because I was always under the impression that Katharine Hepburn was the older sister, but I thought, hang on, this is substantially older. And this is one of the wonderful things about Morgan's favorite word, edutainment. You learn things. I love movies, but I had no clue that they were not related. But there you go. There's my little self-education for the day. So, starring Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant, the film is bonkers. Cary Grant plays a paleontologist who is seeking funding for the museum. He's looking for funding of about $1 million. And in order to do that, there's a dowager who's willing to front the money for him. But in order to get her money, he has to impress the dowager's lawyer / accountant called Boopy. Now, each time he meets Boopy and he tries to impress Boopy, little old Katharine Hepburn, who's so charming, screen stealing, comedy gold, messes with him quite profusely, not purposefully. She's what you would call a charming klutz.
When
you're around her, things just go wrong around her. There's no two ways about it. And she's never intending. She's one of the nicest characters ever put to screen, if anything. But hey, Bianca. Great to see you, girl. But yeah, Katharine Hepburn steals screen time in this movie. So you have this sort of almost kind of like a dîner de con meets comedy of errors sketch after sketch, whereby Cary Grant, who's trying to get this money and trying to impress people in order to get this money, keeps on running into, by circumstance, Katharine Hepburn's character, throwing a leopard, which she's been sent by her, I think it's uncle or brother in Brazil, because why? It doesn't matter, because it's 1938 and put a leopard in the movie, because why not? And you have this sketch after sketch, comedy of errors of really organic and believable interaction between characters, ending up in situations which are verging on being slapstick, but never going into the domain of slapstick and always staying in the realm of, yeah, that could happen.
Okay. Nice.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. It's charming. It's beautiful. It's not particularly profound or deep, but you don't always need that.
Sure. No. And do you know what? I just love those lovable klutz. I think is the best way to put it. I love to see those, and they're always nice in those films. And in that earlier era, there was an innocence behind them. So yes, I'm down.
Pure, organic, unadulterated innocence. So my number 8, Bringing Up Baby. AJ.
Okay, cool. Okay, right over to me for my number 10. This might be a punt. Do you see it?
I do. It's not a
Pinocchio. Punt. Okay. Is there any Disney on your list?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll say this. Bianca Lindley, who just said congratulations on 100 episodes. This is, I do know my audience and I do know my very good friends. YouTube handle is When You Wish Upon a Star, which comes from Pinocchio.
The big man in the back. The man with the big nose in the back. I just had to bring this up. There is one that you may bring up later on. Do
you have
when you look at what... Come again?
Do you have any more Disney on your list?
No. There was one I brought up in our golden age, and there's one that I've brought up before, and I'm pretty sure you had it, and I think it's there, which, yeah, kickstarted most stuff. It could be another one, but yeah, for me, I just felt like we needed. This one needed to have some love shown to it. Who doesn't love Pinocchio? Like, great character. The adventure that he goes on is absolutely insane. We all remember growing up the story of the boy who, even now it's pop culture. If you lie, your nose is going to grow. I can see your nose growing. Like it's there. Wish Upon a Star. Like there's so much stuff to it. Jiminy Cricket, Geppetto, lovable Geppetto. Like everything about
played by Tom Hanks.
Come here. Oh, is it?
Live action. Tom Hanks is playing Geppetto.
Nice.
I mean, who better?
I wouldn't argue with that at all. That's why I'm like, nice. It just had me like scratching a beard right now. Like I can work with that. I really do see that. But no, it's just such a lovable adventure, tale as old as time. Like, if you don't know Pinocchio, I don't know, but you know, it's that lovable Geppetto who just wishes to have a boy, and he creates the little doll, and he comes to life, and it all comes through, and we all know how it ends. Again, I don't want to spoil it in case anyone in this world doesn't know how it ends in Pinocchio, but you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Not only have you got to love it, it's got a great message. You know, don't lie, do the right thing. Underscore, don't be a dick. Quite valid for the time we're living in.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick. Yeah, it goes to some weird places, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
In a good way, sure. In a very good way. When you think that it all starts with him being at school or on his way to school, and it ends in the belly of a whale.
We're not making this up. Someone else did.
How the hell did we get from A to Z like that?
But you know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. And I mean, when you look back at the age of this film, right? Yeah. 1940, I believe, right? You go back in that tale of time. Now, we were kids of the 80s. So you take 40 years plus. And as a kid, you can still watch that. And it's only now in your adulthood, you're like, how did we get there? But it was an adventure worth following. And that's as much as, you know, to a childhood generation, it's like, oh my God, he's been here. Oh my God, how did this happen? How did he get there? You know, it swings and roundabouts of it, essentially, but it's like, wow. And it's one of those childhood adventures that have lasted the test of time.
And it's got some quite intensely horrifying parts, like Pleasure Island.
Ooh. Yeah. We say this continuously. Yeah. Disney have that way, especially back then. Shock value.
Oh yeah.
Shock value was.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was high. It really was high back then. So they knew how to do it, and I think that's what made us slightly more tougher, dare I say, than the younger generation that we're trying to keep our language down for.
Be a dick.
We're live. Hit me up. You know, all the time you're like, now's your time.
Guy, I want to say something.
We will show it on screen. We're not hiding anything. We're not hiding anything here. But no, had to show love to the lovable Pinocchio. Okay, this one was the one that I made a mistake on last time. We've done number 9, which was The Great Dictator, and now I'm going to bring up my number 8, which is His Girl Friday.
Ooh, no, you've got me there, mate.
I didn't. Okay, so this was the one that I brought up on the Golden Age the last time, and then I realized it was 1940 and 1941 or 1942 was the beginning, so I wasn't allowed to play it. Okay, His Girl Friday.
Funny how both of our number 8s have got Cary Grant in them.
Thank you. That was my next line. Yeah, this is a Cary Grant masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. It's a real good. You have a great time with this one. So in the film, Cary Grant is a lovable rogue. I think the best way I could. The UK fans will definitely get this. I don't know if anyone else around the world will get it. He's a bit of a Del Boy, but in the newspaper world. Like, he's a bit of a he's a swindler. He'll say one thing, he'll twist it around, he'll convince you, you know, don't have it. Like in the film, his soon to be ex-wife is like, okay, so the story is he's a news reporter, and his ex-wife used to be a major reporter as well. She's now moving out of town, and she's going to marry this very innocent, lovable lawyer. And he goes, now this is sent Cary Grant over the tip. He's like, no, you can't go. You can go. You've got my blessing, but before you go, I just need you to help cover this story. And it's basically the story of a man who's being framed for murder. Right? He's up on a murder charge, so she's going for it. And in this part, the ex-wife is telling the soon-to-be, the fiance, like, don't carry any money around you. Don't do this. There's all these hints that you know that Cary Grant will nick your wallet. He's just one of those guys that you can't help but love him, but he's a slimy little git, essentially. So she's actually been able to convince him as much as she's like, no, I'm done. I'm out of this world. She's like, oh, all right. You know, with the fiance coaxing her in, she's like, okay, I'll do it. One last story. So she goes back to the newspaper, and the team are so happy to see her. They're like, you're back. She's like, no, just this one story.
Right.
Nope, just this one story. She just wants to write the story, write the article, leave. It doesn't go that way, because the more research she does, she actually realizes that the killer who's about to be convicted may actually be innocent. It actually looks like a setup job. So Cary Grant is doing all that he can to twist her out of it. She just wants to get the story done and leave town with, start a new life. And it slowly builds that she's uncovering this story, and she's getting more and more attracted into the world of journalism again and discovering it. And in the midst of this, the killer actually escapes prison. So then you've now got a prisoner on the loose, and then he's going around town, and he's very close to the newspaper office. So then there's police coming in, there's cover-ups, the guy's family get into it. Mad caper that you just have to follow along the way, and it's Cary Grant as I said, the little devious character, but he does it so well because I've always seen him as the good guy. Don't get me wrong, he's not the bad guy. He's not the bad guy, but you're like, oh, you're a wrong'un. You're a wrong'un. And yeah, it's one to see. You get a few laughs out of it. It could have been funnier. I believe there's a film with Walter Matthau that came out after called The Press Office or something like that, which kind of touches on it a bit more and it's a bit closer to our time. But no, this is most definitely worth a watch.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have nothing to comment as I have.
No, but you haven't seen it, yeah. So that was my number. Coming in?
I can't do much for you there.
No. That's the one. So that's for me, and over to you, sir, with your number 7.
So my number 7. Let me just double check my list here. Yes, here we go. So Mr. Humphrey Bogart, who I believe pretty much defined this period. If there was one actor who defined this period, I mean, there's 4 or 5 movies starring Humphrey Bogart that could have made this list. As a result, I have 2, and this is the first one. And in at number 7,
do you know, I don't think I've got any. I actually don't have any.
No Humphrey Bogart. Okay, so it's not a problem. I can figure it out. My number 7 is The Maltese Falcon.
Nice.
Oh, it's good. Noir film. You know I'm a sucker for a noir film.
Indeed, yeah.
And I'm not a sucker for Humphrey Bogart, as I've mentioned recently.
Interesting.
I find him a bit unlikable. I don't know what it is.
Marmite. Yeah, either love him or you hate him. Or just don't. You wouldn't go as far as hate.
No, I don't.
Nick, excuse me, before you go any further.
Hey, my auntie's on. Thanks for coming in, Peggy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Maltese Falcon from, let me just check the year on this, from 1941. Fabulous noir film. The closest I've come to liking Humphrey Bogart. It is everything a noir movie needs to be. It's got the most important facet, which is the femme fatale. And
Indeed.
The story is very simple. It's, as with a lot of these old movies, it starts with, a nice scrolling opening title that gives you a bit of backstory, a bit of exposition. And we find out that way back in the 1500s, the Spanish allowed, I believe it was some of the Crusaders, the island of Malta. And in return, every single, I think it was month or year, the settlers in Malta would have to send the Spanish a falcon. And this falcon that they sent them, top to bottom, covered in gold and encrusted with the most valuable jewels known to mankind. Pirates get it, and over the years, the falcon goes missing, right?
Oh.
And none of that happens in the film. That's all in the opening crawl. But where we enter is Humphrey Bogart plays a private detective, and this is where the movie already had me. And I'm like, okay, great. We've got a femme fatale. We've got a private detective. Then the private detective's partner gets murdered while trying to help out said femme fatale. And we have this big intrigue of, okay, can we trust her? Can we not trust her? Like every good femme fatale in noir film history. And it's essentially Humphrey Bogart trying to find out what the Maltese Falcon has to do with all this, who killed his partner, how the femme fatale is involved with the killing of his partner, and to give away details of this film would be to take away some of the joy that you experience watching it. Because, and I've said this many a time, I am a sucker for cinema in the sense that I like to just sit back. I don't like guessing the ending. I hate it when people sit next to me and guess it and say, oh, this is going to happen. It's like, shut up. I want to be a sucker. I want the movie to take me there to the end by myself, and then have that the main characters have. That's how I like to consume cinema. This film,
it's the best way. It's the only way.
So. This film had me going, okay, how does this fit together? How does A join to Z? How does the circle fit into the square hole. Like, it's fascinating. Humphrey Bogart, who I maintain always plays Humphrey Bogart, he does. There is no difference between him and this to a film which we mentioned on our Golden Age. Is it coming up for you?
No.
Good, I can say it then. Casablanca. It's the same bloody character.
Some guys do, though. Some guys are just them. Like, yeah. Some people act, and then others are
Just
they
there.
fit into a role, you know?
Cary Grant.
Love the guy.
Cary Grant. Humphrey
Yeah.
Bogart is the latter.
You know,
But there
Dwayne
was
Johnson in current times. The Rock is The Rock. No matter which film you put him in, it's kind of the same character.
Yes.
You know? And then you've got Day-Lewis. You've got Jackman.
Whoa. You just did not.
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying you've got one side, and on the other side, you've got guys who can chameleon. Gary Oldman. You know, these guys who can, you give them a role. Peter Sellers, Christian Bale. The list goes up.
Some love to Christian Bale. Finally.
Listen, this isn't a Batman topic. This isn't a Batman topic. It's just where it goes. Yeah. Let's try.
No, I love this film. This kind of fits into what I was saying right at the top of the show, whereby Hollywood hadn't quite figured out how to make films yet at this stage.
Interesting.
You know, like some of the way they were fighting, you know, there was literally people slapping necks. It was like, well, I can see that you've been
Okay, yeah.
He has a gun pulled on him, and Cary Grant sort of goes, "Ha
Like, yeah.
Again, watching it through the prism of someone living in the 21st century with, I like to think, quite a wealth of film knowledge, sees that, and I'm like, yeah, it's obviously, you know, a fault, but there's something charming in it.
Nah,
if you like noir films, this is a goodie.
No, I actually really wanted to catch it. I'll be honest, that's why I've heard the name. I actually remember in English. I don't know if you read it in your class, but there was a book called The Falcon's Malteser. I don't know if you ever read that one.
No.
Shout out to Mr. McNally. I remember reading that in the primary section, actually. So it's one that I've always known of, like from a very young age, but never actually had a chance to watch it. And I must admit, I just missed it on this occasion. But no, I'm down to still want to check it. Because I have more of an affinity to Mr. Bogart than you do. But it's not in a bad way. I'm just saying I kind of get the character, so I think I might appreciate it.
He's the same character. It's literally I've seen 5 of his films now, and he's always the same.
Yeah.
But I don't hate him. He's
No.
purpose, and he fulfills it very well.
Cool.
Nothing to add. Happy to move on.
Yeah, but as I said, I would love to watch it. I haven't seen it. What can I add? Humphrey Bogart's not that bad. Okay, there's my 2 cents. I'm just saying, there's nothing more I can add. No. It sounds like a great film. It really does.
It's a goodie. In at number 6.
Okay.
Let me ask you.
Bear me a second, because I just have to get the button ready, just in case.
I'll be surprised if we're saying the P word on this one. Very surprised.
Okay, ask your question, and then we'll get to... I feel like I stole your thunder.
What is the genre of cinema that the two of us have both collectively said that's probably our least favorite?
Oh, nice. Western.
Correct. I found a Western. Well, I've got a very, very small handful of Westerns that I really like. I found one in this category that I adore. Superb. Weirdly, starring Humphrey Bogart.
My bad.
As the villain.
Shock horror.
And we have got in at number 6 from 1939 with James Cagney playing the titular character, the Oklahoma Kid.
Ooh, nice. I have heard that whispers of that one. Not as much as
Good.
Cool.
Now, why is it? I need to explain why I don't have the biggest affinity for Western films. Very simple. I think they're slow, and I think they're a little bit self-indulgent. The way that they linger on the same shots forever. The way that, you know, they'll sort of cut across the character's eyes, and then they'll cut across the other character's eyes. And it's like they're building tension, but by building tension, it affects the pacing. The Oklahoma Kid. How is this for refreshing, AJ? The Oklahoma Kid runs in at 1 hour and 20 minutes long. Thank you.
Always gotta love these. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Here we go. Wow, we're actually at what, number 7 without a tangent. Mind you, we did talk for 16 minutes. But here we go. Right. First silver screen tangent on the live.
Here we go. Tangent time.
If you ever have to picture what it's like having to do a top 10 in a week, people, when the film tends to lean to the 2-hour plus, it hurts. We love them. Don't get me wrong. We love them. We wouldn't keep doing it if we didn't.
Correct.
But every now and again, to be able to say, hey, you know what? Because you don't want just 10 films ever. You don't ever want just 10 films. You need to have variety. You need to have diversity in this thing. And this is one of the good ones that you're like, hey, you know what? 1 hour 20. I like it. So I love that. I love it.
You know what? Now, and here's where you almost have to question it. It's like, hang on, you're 1 hour 20 and you're a Western? Interesting. How are you going to fulfill your purpose of being a Western? Which by its very existence means it's quite slow, it's tension building, you soak in the atmosphere. But the downside to that is it can be quite laborious and badly paced. This film, I mean, before that obviously became a thing, just throws all that out the window and says, you know what? I'm going to tell you a really, really sharp, concise, well-paced story in 1 hour, 20 minutes. James Cagney, as I said, plays the Oklahoma kid. This is literally as the states of the United States are starting to expand. There's settlers, you know. This Tulsa, Oklahoma is where this film is set, and it's as Tulsa, Oklahoma is being built up to become a city, you know. And it's quite spectacular the way people, all this, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're seeing all this blurring around my face, that's the green screen behind me. So I apologize if there's a bit of snipping there, all right? But back on what I was saying. Yeah, so Tulsa, Oklahoma is being built up here, and all the settlers are moving in. And Humphrey Bogart, who plays the villain, essentially makes a deal whereby you can move in here, because he was kind of already there. You can move in here as long as I have a level of authority here. He wasn't asking to be the sheriff or anything. He wanted the hand in all the dirty dealing. So things like the gambling and the drinking and all of that. That's the pie he wanted his finger in. And the settlers basically agree with him. Now, through a very, as I said, very well paced out, not too long character development that we have, you find out that James Cagney, the Oklahoma kid's father, is running for mayor. The father gets framed for murder and then in turn murdered by Humphrey Bogart's men, but they did it in a way that it was hidden. However, the Oklahoma kid knows that it was them. So you've got this huge thing about the slickest gunslinger in town going up against the, you know, I mean, look at him in the background, for Christ's sake. Look at the Oklahoma kid in white. It's literally good versus evil here. It's, you know, you could even make a debate. You know,
do you know what? Sorry, can you just put, well, I'm just going to make you go larger just so people could just see that a bit more. Just a real breakdown of the characters.
Oh,
yeah.
That character, white hat. Look, wait, white hat. Some character.
Indeed. Yeah.
I wonder where they got the idea to make Darth Vader in black.
Okay, well, this is Taylor's told us time.
Yes.
BLM, by the way, because it matters. It's not always bad. Just had to get that joke in. No. I didn't know. It's not you, it's the Hollywood system. Come off it. It's been Taylor's all the time. One thing I did get, though, by listening to this and the building of Oklahoma, and there may be many films, and I'm sure I'm going to get buried because funny enough, going back to YouTube days, I saw one where some guy was like, he said the one and only Ben-Hur. I was like, yeah, okay, I make mistakes. I don't know every film that's out there. Forgive me. But here we go. When I hear this one of the foundation of Oklahoma, do you know what it was kind of reminiscent of with this story? And I wonder if it had a hint of influence, even though it's much more compact. Gangs of New York. I don't know if you can see the relationship in like the foundations of a term. You got the bad guy, you got the good guy, the corruption behind it. I'm like, interesting. I know they're miles apart, I imagine.
Yeah, the more you say it, the more I'm seeing a similarity.
Interesting.
It didn't click with me, but now you've said it. Yeah. Scorsese definitely saw this film.
Here we go. Now, bringing it right back to what I said earlier. Now we have Humphrey Bogart and Daniel Day-Lewis in the same combo again.
Stop it. Stop it.
I'm just saying the differences, but I am able to create synergy. Of course, there's a difference. There is a huge difference, but just saying.
One happens to be the finest actor who has ever lived. And I'm not talking about Humphrey Bogart.
I had a feeling. I am not going to bash Mr. Bogart in that direction. I just appreciate Mr. Day-Lewis's diversity a bit more. That's what I'm saying.
It's hard to like cinema and not like Daniel Day-Lewis. Let's just be.
He's done some crackers. He's done some crackers. However, none of his films were made in 1939 or 1949. So we shall move on. 1930 to 1949.
Try, he would do it.
Give him a time machine. He will go back and do it. I don't do that. Yeah, I do not deny that. Okay, that was a nice one. I wish I could add more. It's one of those classics that I wish I had seen, and I will be seeing shortly, hopefully. Okay, this one came up before in our Swashbucklers, but it felt like an absolute crime to not bring it up. Can you guess which one it is?
I can. You might want to get that little graphic up and ready. Say the word.
Okay, so I'm going to say the name, but now I've had to swatch over, guys. Bear with me. They're not all in the same place on these buttons. I'm going for another man who needs to be said in this era, Errol Flynn.
Yeah.
Robin Hood.
That's a punt.
Yay! Actually, you're a Chelsea fan. Hey! Okay. Right, okay. So that was my number 7. Okay. So I won't show you what that was because the image will come up later. And in at number 6, I have a feeling that might come up again. I know you're a big Jackson fan of this version, lad. Is it coming or can I press the button?
Big Jackson fan. Oh, I know where you're going. No, bring it
Cool.
on, mate.
I'm talking King Kong.
1933 King Kong.
That's the one, 1933 King Kong. It's aged. Okay, it has aged.
Oh, yeah.
just a little bit. But this was iconic. And to me, it could not get mentioned. No offense to you in that. Maybe you thought I had it and it's there. But, you know, when you look at the monster movies, you had Godzilla doing his madness in Japan. You had King Kong climbing the Empire State Building of New York. And again, when we talk about, like I did with Pinocchio, how it transcended time, this is another one that, okay, we may not have seen the movie. I saw it then, I've refreshed on it recently. But I remember these stuff in like Chewits commercials. I remember.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth. I was saving it. I was like, he's going to do a little serious film thing here, and I'm going to finish off by saying
Chewits commercial. Yeah. But there you go.
Spitting image.
Thank you. The Chewits monster, we owe that to. Do you know who else? Oh, sorry, excuse me. Bear with me 1 second.
Comment?
Oh, yeah. You are guessed at King Kong. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, no, it had to be mentioned. And as gamers, we owe Donkey Kong to King Kong. This is the original monster to me. Again, someone's going to be like, oh, check your history. Godzilla came first. I didn't see it, so I'm sticking with King Kong. Okay. Right? We owe a lot to this film. It has aged. The graphics are there. You kind of go, ugh, at some points. But the story's still the same. You have to appreciate it, you know.
I'll tell you this, though. There's something to be said about the time then versus the time now of cinema, because I mean, I'm taking a stab in the dark here because I can't know this for sure. But I imagine when people went to the theaters in 1933 to see King Kong, I don't imagine there was anyone in the cinema who thought, "Oh, I'm full. That looks so real." No. However, you look at Peter Jackson's King Kong. Obviously, you appreciate that it's far too big to be believable, and you have to suspend disbelief to a certain degree. But in terms of what they've done with the way the big monkey moves, with the way that he sounds, with the effects on it,
Yeah.
it looks pretty close to real, other than the size.
Yeah. But you know, one thing I will credit.
Trash.
I will credit
modern cinema, but don't.
You credit this cinema to that cinema, as it were.
Yeah.
Practicality versus technology. Okay? It's very nice, and we worship this guy, and we're still waiting for the Oscar to come, Andy Serkis, to be able to do mocap and motions, then create something. When you take something like this, and it's like in a time where technology didn't really permit you to do anything, it was just a projector. Hell, what we've got right now is more than what they had back then. Okay, doing this screening. So in order to make, bro, as someone once said to me, we were talking technology, and they were like, well, you do realize you've got more technology in your phone than they had when they landed on the moon. And I was like, good point. Really put stuff into perspective. Yeah, come again?
No, I won't say it.
Go, hit me.
No. There's too many people. No.
No, be a man. If we could do it, if you would have done it on podcast, you could do it on live podcast.
No, it's nothing to do with live or not. It's
go. I'm not even here.
Putting the camera on me. Cheers.
Go. If you really don't want to, I will
don't
accept
want to
it.
offend people in America who have, and we've got a lot of followers in America, and we've done a lot of shout outs, especially in Fargo, North Dakota. I don't want to go offending anyone. There's a lot of evidence to support that we never went to the moon.
Okay. All right. No, that's one of those debates. That's a worldwide debate. Yeah. All right. We're not offending anyone. Trust me, there are people in America who believe that as well. You know what? I'll even put myself on it to defend you a bit, right? There are a lot of people out there who will say the moon landing never occurred. But either way, in that time period, right? In a time where, in a time period where, you know, a printer was a room, watching in figures, we're not lying, right? Like that's there. This probably does more than what they were able to do with an entire room. It's just technology moving on. Whichever way you lean on anything else, just don't tell me the world is flat, and we're cool.
No, I can introduce you to people who believe that.
So I
feel bad for them, but...
No. Look, again, we don't want to offend anyone because everyone's entitled to their belief, and I do believe that.
And there's telling people they're just wrong. The moon landing, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong on that. I'm most likely more wrong than right. I acknowledge that, but there is a lot of evidence and theory to support that. There's no theory to support the Earth being flat. None.
So I'm going to shout out Zany one more time, and he actually put out something that made me laugh because he showed me a picture, and apparently, on the Flat Earth Society, it says the Flat Earth Society, as people believe they've connected.
There's a society of these people?
Indeed, but apparently, wait for it. Here we go. Dad joke moment. Their tagline apparently says, and I have to go back to check this, we have followers all around the world.
That's brilliant. All around the world. Oh my god.
Yeah. But, this is what it goes. But anyway, coming back to King Kong, it's one of those movies. I'm not being there at the time. I can't say how much people were immersed in it. I do know, however, that I looked at a PS2 and said, this is as great as graphics will ever get. I then got to a PS4. This is as great as graphics will ever get. We all dropped our jaws at PS5. So I don't know what it was like back then to see those things, you know? I know people always joked about the strings in Thunderbirds.
Well, I'll say this.
Jonathan, thank you. I hope you found the same joke with the Flat Earth Society around the world.
I'll say this. Oh, by the way, that was my little cousin Jojo, who's just got his university degree. Jojo, well done, mate.
Sorry, I'm just gonna do it for you because we don't have a picture of him. Yeah, congratulations to you, dude. Love it.
What are you doing?
It was just like congratulations. It's just like love it. Well done. Is this the same cousin that I saw in the cafe?
That's Mikey.
Mike, yeah.
Sorry.
Come again?
Who I believe is listening to. He said to me earlier on WhatsApp he would be.
I've got a message from Zany earlier, like loving, but like nothing on here. It happens. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So well done to Jojo for passing his degree now.
Congrats. Love that.
Where were we?
Where were that? Thank you. No, we were at technology. Moving on. Is that the one?
Yes. Thank you. You mentioned the PS5 here, and I'm not going to go into some big games debacle, but PS5, where we are with special effects now, there legitimately isn't that much further we can go because we're basically in the realm of photorealism now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like,
you can't go beyond reality. You can go very psychedelic and trippy and show me some things like they did in Doctor Strange and wow me with what you could potentially do. there's certainly room for that to develop. But in terms of getting something to look like it should, we're basically there.
Well, here we go. I'm going to bring an argument back. I get that. Here we go. Here's an argument for the case. I haven't read it yet. I'm just about to click show. Oh, bear with me a second. I saw the version of King Kong years and was very impressed and definitely immersed in it. One of the best versions. There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
This is it. So this is
Thank you. Thank you very much, Peggy.
It's all about where you see it, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a timing thing. So what can we do? But that's the one. Okay, so that was my number 6, wasn't it? Yes. That was, yeah.
Trading
one apiece. Indeed.
One apiece. Are we saying? Well, I hope we're saying punt here. You should definitely have seen this one. In at number 5 from 1932, Scarface.
No, missed it. I must admit, dude, I know I felt that because I remembered and I remembered to look out, but it didn't come. When you do your research, sometimes there are different ways, and I don't know how you do it. Sometimes you like top films of the eras and that, and for some reason it didn't come up. So I remember knowing there's an original. And I really wanted to catch it.
Wow. I mean, wow.
So I'm going to hit the question off the bat.
You ask me, is it better than the Brian De Palma remake with Al
Pacino?
No, that version is for me the Al Pacino version of Scarface is the definitive version. However, this is very different to that. Like, this is not about a Cuban coming to Florida and getting involved in the seedy underbelly of Miami crime and working his way up, basically GTA Vice City. This is nothing to do with that. This is so it's directed by Howard Hughes, produced by Howard Hawks. So already you've got some powerhouses there. Can't remember who played the titular character, but even the name of the titular character, it's not Tony Montana. This isn't Cuban. This isn't Hispanic. This is.
I've got you for a sec. What year was the film? 1932. Okay. Keep talking, and he is.
So it's pre-code, and because the fact that it was pre-code, we talked about being pre-code off the top of the show. You know, the fact that the standards for censoring hadn't been set in place in Hollywood. This film kind of had a carte blanche to do what it wanted, really.
Antonio Camonte.
What's that?
Antonio Camonte.
That's it.
There we go.
Italian mafioso, mate. And
nice.
It hits very similar beats to some of the beats in Scarface. It's nothing to do with cocaine empires and making allegiances with the drug cartels in Colombia, obviously. Nothing to do with that. This is literally about the Italian mafioso getting their claws in New York, right?
Okay.
Now, what you see on the screen behind me here.
Hold on. I'll just give you a better shot.
That's
okay.
Right? This is his boss. Now, much like in the remake with Al Pacino, there is an overthrow of power. But what's fascinating about this one is that the overthrow of power doesn't come from, a simple shoot 'em up. It's not like the boss betraying him. It's literally Tony coming, hey, forget about it. He's a wise guy. I have to believe it all comes from here. All those.
I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked.
I'd love to see if there's an earlier film, but you got to remember pre-1930 we're in
silent movies, so then you can't get that tone. Yeah.
Much older than this. If there is another one which created all of the hey, come on, G, all the stereotypes. I believe it comes from here, and people talk about The Godfather being subtle. I'll see The Godfather and Raise You Scarface from 1932 because all of the sort of, I guess, these themes, this story of overthrowing of power, this very, very subtly working your way into a position of power and then seizing it. The seeds being planted for said overthrow of power. It's all very subtle. Like these two they look like they're mates at the beginning. They look like they're getting along. And then it all goes Pete Tong.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's in America, it all goes to shit.
Pete Tong isn't official Cockney for anyone wondering, but it's in line with the Cockney where we make it rhyme. So Pete Tong, wrong, just in case anyone's wondering Who's Pete Tong? Like, he was a DJ. He was a DJ at one point. Radio One, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's what we do. Apple and pears of stairs, people. It's what we do.
Boat race, face, Barney Bubble, trouble me, old plan.
That's the one. Trouble and strife, wife.
There you go. We can keep going, but stop.
Yeah, no, we stop.
Where this film really shocked me, not the subtlety, but the fact that it's quite violent.
Really?
Like, you've got to remember, this is a time in film which is rather conservative, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say,
You're not going to see boobies out where, with the sex scene. It's all going to be sort of off-screen and implied, which some people would argue is the masterful subtlety that's in it.
Sorry, just got to throw one more in. Dog and bone. Can't forget the phone. That's one, Jojo. Love it.
But yeah, this is essentially, I guess, the inception of violence in cinema. And as I said, the whole movie's an indictment on mafia crime, because it starts with the whole, we're not pulling any punches. It's got an opening scroll, and it starts with, we're not going to pull any punches. What we're going to show you is pretty much what we live with on a daily basis in New York. It's up to us as a civilization to ask better protection from our government. And just before the movie starts, it ends with this famous line, what are you going to do about it?
I've got a question. If you're in trouble, what are you going to do about it?
Me?
Yeah. Because you are in trouble. You are in trouble. Huh?
I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Who's coming?
Again, this is for the viewers, not the listeners. You forgot someone, dude.
Kayum! Hey, my boy!
He says you... Have you forgotten him?
Man forgot how to spell my name. So
I was going to jump into your defense on that one, and I thought, do I go now?
Love, brother. I haven't spoken to him for ages. Hook me up. Call me. You've still got my number. Call me after this show, mate. I want to have a chat with you.
Or alternatively, you can post it, and I won't copy and paste it onto for the world to see, and I will pass it over to Nico. So either way,
that's fine too. But no, okay, I'm glad you're watching, mate. Great to see you. So yes, Scarface, my number 5. Unreal, considering the time it was made in. I always felt it like that. You always. See, I'm not Russian, you know. No, we spell Nicola with a C, okay, not with a K. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, go.
Superb, very, very ahead of its time. Again, I attribute a lot of that to the fact that this was pre-code cinema. So.
Yeah, no, I get you. When it's out there, it's out there.
I was thinking, I always believed that the Al Pacino version was going to be better, and it is. But this is so much better than I was thinking. I was like, my mindset going into this film was like, okay, what are we going to get? We're going to get an ultra-conservative 30s depiction of drug crime. It's so far removed from that, I can't tell you. It's quite something.
Do you know what's actually really interesting, though, is that I like the way time has changed. So it's gone from the Italian mafioso to the Cuban mafioso. You know, yeah. You know what? You've convinced the nation. There you go. So thank you, Peggy. No, he's convinced me as well. I definitely want to be checking it out. And I just like the way that it's transitioned through your, as I said, mafia to the Cuban mafia, and it's just a different story. Because had it been that replica, then one would probably crush the other. Here, you can appreciate both in two very different realms.
One last thing I completely forgot to put out. Again, remember, considering the time, this was not exactly a time where women had a huge role in cinema, sadly. As you can see from the poster behind me, let me duck a bit. There's a woman. All right, so this picture is actually a pretty good depiction of the microcosm that Hollywood is. Majority men, lucky if you get a woman in the movie, right? Powerhouse.
Good.
It's one of the first times in cinema that you really see a woman being given a platform on which to, strut her stuff with men. And there's some really good tete-a-tete repartee between all of them. And she's one of the catalysts for why the two of them collide. It's brilliant.
No, I'm down. I am indeed so. Okay, over to me. Right, so for my number 5, don't know if this is going to be a punt, actually. Bear with me a second. Oh, it didn't come up. There we go. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Nope.
Okay. Come again?
Run with it. Run with it.
Have you seen it? Or
of course, I've seen it.
Bro, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I've seen iterations. I've seen TV shows like the ITV weekday show that used to come on, Harriet Hyde and something or the other, whatever it was. It was interesting. I am aged. Like, you can see something because every time I've pictured Jekyll and Hyde, I mean, more or less, it's the Hulk. Like, you've got a normal man,
Basically.
and yeah, I mean, the story, Stanley was clearly inspired by this, right? But, you know, essentially, I always pictured a bigger monster, and I wasn't too sure how they were going to approach it in this one. You know, it's a different era, and I'm like, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a different actor, kind of, again, referring to the Hulk, where you had Lou Ferrigno doing his part. Ferrigno, sorry. So I was just wondering how... I was like, how did that come out? Like, how, you know... Bro, forget it. Forget it. Moving on. Don't make me mute you. Like, yeah. How is it going to be played? And essentially, it was just a different hairstyle and a slight alteration to your clothing. One thing that really, really put me off the bat on this one was I've never seen no one not attempt to do a British accent like this film at all. It starts off with all these strong American accents, and then I'm seeing a guy in Metropolitan Police uniform. And like, oh, England. Yeah, I forgot. Fair enough. There we go. So for anyone who...
that point, I will come back to that because it's something that comes up in one of my movies.
Don't get me wrong. I've seen another film where it wasn't great, but this one I was like, guys, just even a hint of an effort, please. Just a hint. I'll work with you. It was interesting. And again, for anyone who doesn't know the story, it's the story of Dr. Jekyll, who's trying to see if he can separate good from evil from man. And while everyone else believes that, surely there can't be evil men around. And here I am doing the English accent, even though they didn't. And, you know, he says it. Well, you know, no matter how good a person you are, there are times that we have evil thoughts. We don't like to admit it. And he's now trying to see if it can be extracted. And he takes a serum, and that leads to the birth of Mr. Hyde. And the story continues. Again, very Hulk-like, lack of control.
Jekyll.
Whichever way you want to play it. But yeah. But what I'm saying is, for anyone who can't picture it, that's the closest thing I can relate it to. Yeah. It was fun. Again, going back to what you were saying, where with certain parts of violence and the censorship of how conservative the world was back then, you see certain things, and other things are kind of left to your imagination. Like, you know, I don't want to get into it, and it's not that I want to see this on film, but how do you portray rape in this film compared to how you could portray a rape in a film later on in time? A murder, certain things are just done in such a way that you're like, okay, but you still get the story, and that's where the agent has come along. And having seen other versions of this along the way and pictured it, you know, reading a book of Jekyll and Hyde, I was like, it's nice to mention because there are other horror films, but this one was something new to me, so I thought I'd bring it up. But yeah, there are other versions out there. But no, it was a good... Spencer Tracy done a good job of playing both Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was top.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. It needed a mention.
Yeah.
It definitely needed a mention, right?
I love this. The one time I tried to be anti-AJ, right? And just stick to films, right? Even though I brought up the Hulk. What do we get? Please read this out, because it's not me. It's not me faking this. Okay? Kayum, as much as you're Nico's boy, you are my boy. For anyone on podcast, it says, this is Kayum, and I love this guy already. Guys, talk about Batman, please. So exciting what's happening. I love this. I love it. I mean, we have levels. There's the poll that I kind of left because I'm still trying to get more Val Kilmer votes in. Who's your favorite Batman? Comment, guys.
Hey, you can comment on that. Who is your favorite Batman?
Please, who is your favorite Batman? It's there. I will let you go on a small tangent because we do anyway. Batman is coming. We are excited. We are excited for Batman. You do, however, have a problem with Mr. Robert Pattinson. People have heard it before, but the stage is yours.
Oh, we're doing this, are we?
The fans have requested it. Live request.
Okay, here's the thing. I was the person singing the praises of Robert Pattinson because when it got announced that he was playing Batman, everyone was saying, "What, that guy from Twilight?" It's like, if you think that's Robert Pattinson, you have not been following his career. That guy from Twilight is not that guy from Twilight anymore. He has worked with some of the finest independent and mainstream directors in the business. Werner Herzog, to name one of them. He's been in some of the best films in recent years, like The Rover, like The Lighthouse, and he has developed into, thank you, Kayam, Christian Bale, and he has developed into quite an astonishing actor. Okay? And I was the guy flying the Robert Pattinson flag saying, wait and see. This guy is going to impress you all. Because a lot of people were obviously on that. He's the Twilight guy. It's like, no. Wait and see. Here's where the problem comes in. During the lockdown, we hear that Zoe Kravitz, who's playing Catwoman, is working out twice daily, 5 times a week. You know, she's committed to the role. I think it was GQ who did this interview with him. It was GQ or Variety, but I believe GQ. They do this interview with him and they say, how's lockdown treating you? How's Batman going? Are you training? Blah, blah, blah. He comes out and says, no, I'm not training. I believe training is part of the problem in the industry. Look at the old actors. James Dean wasn't exactly ripped. I mean, there is so much wrong with that comment. First and most obvious being, James Dean never played Batman. Batman is a character who, I've said this so many times on the podcast in recent weeks, but Batman is a character who is, in some parts of the world, the iconography, the image of Batman is every bit as famous as Jesus Christ or as Ronald McDonald. He is a titan of the entertainment industry. Like him or hate him, or rate Jesus higher or whatever, this is nothing to do about comparing edutainment to religion. It's nothing to do with it. I'm just saying the iconography, the image of Batman is that famous and ingrained in society now, that to say you're not going to train to play Batman, what? And to say, I get where he's coming from saying that's part of the problem, because there is obviously this constant argument within certain realms like the fashion industry, like the entertainment industry, where you've got to be jacked and ripped, or you've got to be stick insect thing. And it's not healthy. And it's also not a natural depiction of society. You know, there has got to be some recognition that we are all colors. We come in all shapes and sizes. So I get that's what Robert Pattinson was saying. And if that's the message, of course, I agree with it. But in terms of embodying the role of Batman, who part of his character is that he is at the peak of human condition and is physically, literally larger than life, to say you're not training for that and to then try and relate the fact that old actors like James Dean weren't ripped. Okay, I'll see your James Dean and I'll raise you Kirk Douglas and Spartacus. Ripped. If the role requires it, and you know, I'm not saying be ripped for the sake of being ripped, but sorry, I like eating meat. I don't like veganism. You're wrong. Robertson's vegan type of guy. Yo, I'm vegetarian. Back again.
No, but I mean, to be fair, he wouldn't have to work out there. But he seems like he's growing the gut. Not touching on this too much for anyone who doesn't want to hear Batman, but here's my part, right? I agree with you. I wanted to give Pattinson a shot. You are playing Batman. It's like right now, and we are talking part of the problem at XYZ. We aren't for body shaming. If it's a standard movie, look how you want, right? Look how you want. In fact, even bodies go up in size if you wish to make a statement. However, if I'm going to do a film about Mr. World, I'm not hiring John Goodman and John Candy. It doesn't represent. And it's not offending anyone when I say that. It's just the way you have to approach the role. Any other role, Rob, you got my vote. This one requires a certain look.
Jacked.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Like, the message behind what he's saying is a good one. Body shaming bad. Depiction of real people in cinema and edutainment not accurate. We agree on all that. But let's be real. You are representing one of the titans of the film industry and edutainment industry. Get with the program, dude. The role requires you to be very large. Yeah. Get big.
That's the one. Carry on.
Sorry, I keep on getting screen clipping on my phone.
Oh, right, no problem. Yeah, no, I'm down with that. Okay.
Get back onto old movies.
This is the one. Yes,
Well,
over to you. I've just done Jekyll and Hyde. There's not really much I can add. If there's anything you wanted to add to it in Spencer Tracy's performance.
I've had my rant for the day. I'm good.
Cool.
Do you have any more Disney on your list?
No, I don't.
We won't be saying punt then. In at number 4 from 1940, Fantasia.
You know I've had beef with this film.
I know you've had wrong beef with this film.
Bro, listen, beef is beef. Like, I know you're a vegetarian, so you try to avoid the beef, but it is what I do. Couldn't help it. No, I know. Actually, there is a question here. I just didn't want to like divert. You were asked, when did you go veg?
Coming up for a year now.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not ignoring the questions, just we were moving on. And Jojo seems to agree with us on the Batman topic, but I'm going to let you give it the credit it requires, right, in Fantasia. I'm just going to hit you with what it was. I really enjoy musicals. I don't know what it is, and I always remember this. My sister and I, for one Christmas, were given Fantasia, the VHS, and we were pumped and excited. Oh, okay. Kayum, thank you very much. Nice to meet you too. Yeah, he's got to go, so just saying our goodbyes while we're there. But yeah.
Give me a call, mate.
Yeah, just so going back to it. No, thank you very much, and we will catch up. We put the VHS on, we were pumped for it, and it was just not something we could get on board with. And I remember that if I find that VHS, I don't even believe we've given it away or thrown it away. If I was to put that tape in, it is still at the position where we stopped it and we just couldn't take anymore. And I know it's something you... Come again?
You clearly remember what position was it?
For you?
No.
I
stopped the tape.
Bro, no, I just know the tape has stopped. We haven't rewound it. We haven't fast forwarded it. That's what I'm saying. I can't remember how far we get.
Do you remember the point in the movie where you stopped it, is what I'm saying?
Bear in mind, I'm also 2 years older than you. Yeah, like, that was a long time ago. Dude, I'm 35 tomorrow. I was about 7 when it came out. I wish I knew. I did see the Sorcerer's Apprentice part. I can't remember after that, to be honest. It could be there. I kind of got it. I was caught into the story, but it was just these mini clips of X and Y, and I know I'm probably in the minority for this. They've done Fantasia 2000. Like, I know the world loves it. I remember you touching on this, and I was still like, I've shied away from it. I've shied away from Fantasia from that experience.
I think you and me need to sit down and watch Fantasia again, mate.
Do you know one thing?
It's a long film, but I think considering you haven't seen it and it's over 20 years, and considering how much more about cinema you know now and the appreciation you have for cinema, I think you're going to watch this and go, what a film.
Do you know one thing I would always say? And I'm very open to it, is because I always say your mindset determines something. Just yesterday, we had a family gathering within legal requirements, putting it out there. And we put on a film that one of the members of the family really enjoyed. I was like, oh, I like this film, but I only got halfway, let's watch it. But because of the conversation that went on, they said, well, it seems like no one's enjoying it. And we just turned it off. And so depending on the expectation you have or what have you, like if I set now with a more broader mindset, I might be like, you know what was I thinking? However, back then I was expecting one thing, maybe a lot more magic. I don't know what I was expecting. I can't remember the film. I was just like, yeah.
Okay. Fantasia's not a continuous story. So if you were
this is what I learned, yeah.
Yeah. If you're expecting a magical, peaches and cream world of Disney, where obviously something dark has to happen because it's a Disney film, some form of parent is going to be killed off at one point because it's a Disney film. If that's what you were looking for in this, for sure.
Wrong place.
Yeah, wrong place. Think of the year this came out. This is a 1940 film. Look at some of the movies that we've spoken about so far that have come after this.
No, for sure.
Still be a sound quality, still pacing issues. This film changed cinema because what they had, and remember this was filmed with a live orchestra. This wasn't pre-recorded. They shot
yeah.
This was a live orchestra, which they edited to as they were going, which is fucking incredible, even by today's standards, right? But it's a series of short stories about everything something simplistic like, faith in magic, which you get in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, to evolution, which you get, with the dinosaur story, to something as simple as the transformation of color in water, which you get with the fairies dancing on the water. It was a technical showcase of what could be done in film, of bringing in super saturated, high color animation, blending it with operatic cinema, present day cinema worthy scores with one of the best philharmonic orchestras of the time, and doing it live. And it did have its dark moments. It did have the equivalent of Bambi's mum dying.
Yeah.
Mate, there was a part in Fantasia which still to this day, that's obviously because of the childhood trauma from what I'm about to say, but there's a scene in Fantasia where the Tyrannosaurus Rex, this is a cartoon, bear in mind, savages a Stegosaurus in front of all of his friends. It's hard to watch. Like, it's pretty bloody dark. And as a technical achievement alone, it deserves being on this list. The fact that it created one of my first childhood traumas is another reason that it's so high. It, granted, lacks the continuous long-form storytelling that most of these other films have, but it's quite an achievement.
No. Everything you said levels and makes a lot of sense. It's something I need to revisit. Probably. Hey, we've got Disney Plus. I think it'll probably be that as opposed to the VHS, which I don't even have a VHS player anymore. So good luck with that one. But I will give it a shot. I will give it a shot. There's not much I can add. To me, even if respecting you, the fact that it's number 4 says a lot.
Thank you, sir.
So I will work with that. Okay,
check it out.
Over to me. My number 4. Holiday Inn.
I've heard of it, mate.
Right. No, so funny enough, do you know what? When you hear this, it's actually going to be really nuts. Bear with me a second because I have my notes here. This is Fred Astaire, Bing Crosby, Marjorie Reynolds. They are some of the top ones. Believe it or not, this film is where White Christmas came from.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. So that was actually quite a nice touch on it. It's a really interesting film. Sorry, just readjusting here. First of all, you can understand why I probably looked up this film when I saw it. Can't mention it. That's not professional. But so I thought, let me see what this is about. So essentially what it is, those 3 that I mentioned, Bing Crosby, Cary Grant, and Marjorie Reynolds, they actually have Reynolds, I pronounce it that way. They do a 3-person character act. Right. And the show actually starts off with the 3 of them doing their final performance together. Bing Crosby and Marjorie are actually in a relationship and are going to be moving off to the country. I can't remember what side it is, but it's out of New York, and they're just going to open this ranch and live the country life. However, Marjorie's actually more interested in Fred Astaire. So just as it opens, you realize that they do their performance, and Bing Crosby's saying to Marjorie, "Okay, let's go." And it's like, "Oh, you don't know?" And they're like, "Don't know what?" And it's like, the big reveal. She wants to stay in the city. She wants to stay with me. He actually takes it quite humbly, and the story goes on. And he's now living alone, living in the ranch. And he visits New York. He's still friends with him and everything. And he comes up with the idea that he wants to open a hotel of sorts called the Holiday Inn. And unlike the Holiday Inn of today, which is open most times of the year without a not to be mentioned going on, he only wants to open it during the holiday season. That's the one. The beer. So it's only going to be open around holiday season. So he'll only open it from like Christmas to New Year's Eve. So most of the time he could just do what he wants and, live the country life. But that would be his way of revenue and entertainment. And that's the whole concept of the film. And what then happens is that he's doing that. He comes back to New York and he meets this young lady who works part-time at a department store. And she wants to be an actress, and she tells the story. So she ends up working with him to make the Holiday Inn a success. Once again, Fred Astaire, being the git that he is in this film, is now interested in her. So there's this whole story of like love, romance, which way will she go, which way does the story go? But
triangle love story.
Yeah, triangle love story of sorts. And you've got Bing Crosby with the voice, Fred Astaire with the dance. It's really nice. It was a really nice film to watch.
Nice.
Yeah, it was top.
You need some of that now and then. I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice one, and it's got comedy to it as well. But it really captivated.
It was something, and there's a certain charm to it.
And you know what's really funny? We've mentioned him before when we sang when we done Singing in the Rain.
I'm sure Singing in the Rain got some of its ideas from this.
No. Yeah, but like you could see some movements. So at first I was like, nah, Fred Astaire's not as good. But then you stop, and the more you watch the films, and you just pay attention to the feet movement that these artists done back then. I can't even call them actors because it wasn't just acting; it was dancing, it was everything. These artists, you're like, wow. So no, definitely needed a mention. It's a great film. I really enjoyed it. Nice and warming.
I'll check it out.
And it's got White Christmas, man. It's got I'm dreaming. Oh, so we can't say 19, but we're allowed to sing Bing Crosby, would you know? Okay. Yes, over to you, sir, with your number 3.
Was the punt from earlier, Mr. Errol Flynn in Robin Hood. The Adventures of Robin Hood in 1938.
Indeed. How do we always have different ones? I love it.
There we go.
Yeah.
I love this film.
It's great. It's great.
Fun. It was so influential, and considering it came out in 1938, look at the quality of the color here.
Thank you.
Oh.
And it was natural color, isn't it? It wasn't recolored. It was just filmed in Technicolor and came out like that. Yeah. No, it's so much fun. So much fun with this film. I remember covering it during Swashbucklers, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, as much as, okay, we didn't do Golden Age, but I was like, trying to be as fresh as possible. I was like, but you can't leave this out, because I was like, Errol Flynn is a name of this time. And if there was one that represents Errol Flynn the most, it was this one.
100%. It's not my favorite of his films, but it's definitely the most representative of his films. I maintain that Black Flag is the best pirate film I have ever seen. But no, the Adventures of Robin Hood is quite something. We all know the story, Errol Flynn, and we need to obviously mention Olivia de Havilland as Maid Marian, who was superb in this. Listen, if you've seen the Disney one, if you've seen frickin' Robin Hood Men in Tights, if you've seen the Costner version, it's pretty much all the same story. It's the
You forgot one. Russell Crowe.
No, that's a different story. About that.
I'm just listening.
It's basically all the same story. It's a communist in
time. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Up from the rich, down for the poor. But it's charming. He's inherently likable, Mr. Rowan.
Oh no, my God, yeah. He exudes the pomp in this one. It's just it's sweating out.
Yes, really does. Influential to films that were beyond this. Films like Mask of Zorro got a lot of ideas from this. I maintain even Batman got ideas from this, bringing it right back to Batman. That scene where they're fighting in where they're shadows being painted on the back, or, you know, being displayed on the wall. It's like, I mean, that's Adam West. Sorry.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The characters, while being highly saturated and colorful, as you can see behind me, there's a brilliant toned down subtlety to the way the villains are portrayed. You know, Sheriff of Nottingham, Prince John, they're not, I'm a mustache twirling villain. It's like, no, they're actually good villains. And in a swashbuckler, it's so easy to be a mustache twirling villain. So easy. And it never goes into that territory. It's well paced. The way the characters interact with each other is believable. There's very little wrong with it.
No, I agree. Again, you will find variations in the different ones you watch. Like, for instance, how they came across Friar Tuck. Yeah, Friar Tuck. It was so different, but it was so fun at the same time. You know, you could see the alcoholism more in Friar Tuck and the challenges and stealing his meat. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was great stuff. There's not much you can hate on that with that film at all. It's of its time, as you said. It represents its time whilst being a timepiece at the same time, and it portrays everyone. It's not hammy that you think, oh my God, this is so camp, I can't watch it. It works where it has to. The villains are of a certain level, of a very conservative time in film as well. You can't hate on it. You cannot hate on it.
It's hard to hate Errol Flynn. I put him in the same category as I put Gene Kelly in. It's like, you can't really hate him.
Yeah. No.
You just can't.
You can't. No, most definitely.
Your number 3.
My number 3. Okay. Fred Astaire has returned. I am not going to deny it. Come again?
Someone's a fan.
Bro, do you know what? He's actually got some good films. This was... I'm still not sure if... Hey!
What do you got? What we got?
Mum, loving the show, guys. Hey! She's tuned in. Yeah, sorry. So I'm still not sure if this film is pronounced divorcee or divorcee. It's the gay divorcee, I'll call it. And it's... Well, gay divorcee has a ring to it, but either way. This is... I had to bring this up.
Divorcee?
I believe so. It has nothing to do with homosexuality at all.
The old gay.
Yeah, but even in the happy term, maybe, yeah. But one of the key reasons I really brought this up was Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. This was their first, like, they've been side characters before. This was their first one on the main scene together. And
okay, nice.
It's got a lot of fun to it. I actually believe, again, Singing in the Rain is not going to be mentioned. I actually believe the relationship of Singing in the Rain is based off of these two. I don't know how much they got on. It appears they got on a lot from research I did, because I was like, I wonder if it's them that Singing in the Rain is talking about. But you know that Hollywood pairing? This is them. They are that dance trio. They do that duo. Sorry, they do everything together. The story of this one is Fred Astaire is a dancer. He's a famous dancer in the time, and he is friends with a lawyer. On the other side, you've got Ginger Rogers, who wants to divorce her husband, who's just not there. She just never sees him, so she wants a divorce, but he's refusing to give her a divorce. So she's on her way to London, and that's where they first meet. She's on her way to London. He's just finished having dinner with a friend, and he passes, and she's you know that you talked about a lovable klutz? Hey, whoa, the love is coming in from my side. What, you guys just tuned in? There's my sis saying hi. Zadie, Zadie's in the house. Zadie's in the house.
Yeah. In the making right there.
That's the one. That name, people, pay attention. He will be with us soon. But yeah, so the lovable klutz in this film is Ginger Rogers' aunt. She's the sort of person who's like, the customs are holding her for having a dress. It's not a spoiler, it's in the beginning of the film, and they're like, where did you get this dress? What's that place in France? And she's like, Paris. But like, no, you're getting close. Lyon, no, it's somewhere else. And they're like, Nice. Yes, that's the one. My niece will tell you where I got it from. And they're like, what? She's that kind of lovable klutz that goes on. So in the story, she actually locks Ginger Rogers' suitcase, her dress into her suitcase, and Fred Astaire tries to help her. He rips her dress, but it's at that point he's like, I really like this woman, and he tries to get back in contact. And the initial story starts off of him trying to find her, and coincidence has it, the aunt knows Fred Astaire's good friend who was a lawyer. Right. And the lawyer suggested to me, Ginger Rogers, I'm getting these names so much, in order to get a divorce, maybe you need to be caught having an affair, because now it's giving you grounds to get divorced in the UK. You've got grounds. Even if your husband denies it, this is the one. He knows someone who could play the part. It's not Fred Astaire. However, Fred Astaire's come along on the holiday, and she believes it's him. So he's now playing the role of this. And through that, a friendly relationship, you know, she starts to appreciate him more. From leave me alone, she starts to appreciate him more, and the story unfolds. Really, really nice film. It's a nice heartwarming film. Unlike the other one, because everyone must be thinking, does Fred Astaire only steal other people's women? This one is a lot different from Holiday Inn. It's completely different, right? In this one, you're like, I like this. Yeah, keep going, guys. You know, I would, you know, you want to see something come out. I'm not going to give a spoiler, but it's traditional Hollywood. You know, the more I talk, the more you can kind of get where it's going. But again, dance moves galore from Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It's one worth watching. Nice. It's got comedy, it's got dance, it's got it all. Romance, it's there.
Oh, what? I lost you there, mate. Say again.
Romance. I'm saying it's got comedy, romance, dance moves. It's got a lot of that time. It's one that you can really appreciate. And to me, I really enjoyed it in this current time. I didn't have to go back to it was back then. It was just a great comedy that you can watch, a nice piece of cinema to watch. Yeah.
My number 2.
Yes, sir. Over to you.
My number 2. Now, I prefaced the whole show by saying I'm going to do my best to not bring up movies that we mentioned on our Golden Age episode.
Okay.
This is the one that snuck in because it's
Cool.
so good. Not Citizen Kane.
No. Can I take a stab?
Sure.
Because I actually was going to put it on and I took it off. It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes, sir.
That's a nice one. It really is. It's warming. It really is a warming film. Like your suggestion, then, yeah.
It's the
Great.
anti-Christmas Carol, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's literally the other side of the coin.
And people are like, anti-Christmas? Like, no. Anti-Christmas Carol. So,
The film, A Christmas Carol.
yeah. So instead of having a Scrooge, you've got an anti-Scrooge. You've got a guy who is so inherently good and such a giver in life. But the one thing is that because he's so good and because he's so not high on his own supply and so not arrogant, he doesn't necessarily see the good that he brings to people's lives. And through a series of events, it transpires that, well, it doesn't transpire. He ends up in a position where he actually wants to kill himself. Suicide off a bridge. Because he thinks that he's achieved nothing. He thinks that his life means nothing. He thinks that he brings no good to the world or to the people around him. And he thinks he's more bad than good, essentially.
Yeah.
And to the guardian angel, who says, well, we're not going to let you kill yourself, but snap, now you've never lived. And he gets to witness a world in which he never existed.
Yeah.
And sees how bad that world would be. And what the movie does that is so inherently clever, it's the big picture. You can see the little things that, oh, maybe the wife would have met someone else, or maybe the kids would have ended up different, or maybe his friend would have ended up different. No. That's the wonderful thing. You're expecting it to be like, oh, it's going to be the little things. No.
Ripple effect.
It's a wonderful life. It's the big picture. To the degree, his existence results in the town being called something different because certain people who are not as savory as he is take over the town. People who were very upstanding members of society end up homeless.
Yeah.
People who were going to have wonderful lives themselves end up in disparity. All because he didn't live. All because he never existed. And therefore, his life now takes
It's a different world, isn't it? You have a different world. And you know, if you want to get philosophical behind it, it just shows every good deed. No good deed goes unturned. You know, like here you are, you just see that you believe that you doing that, having that action, you doing what have you means nothing. It does. As much as it, you know, here we go, just tangent. I remember someone once breaking down something in the game of golf. They're like, if you were to just change by 1 degree, no, but if you were to just change your swing by just 1 degree, from you being in the sand, you actually got a hole in one. And it's just, you know, it's those small things that you think don't have a lasting effect or impacted someone. It does. And this film shows it so much.
I'll go for a reach here. This film, I'd say, even inspired Old Boy. Think about it.
You can't disagree. There are elements of it that you could be like, okay, yeah.
I mean, completely
They're
different.
very different films, but they just show you the effect of a person.
Rock,
so,
water, ripple.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And the thing which I have to attribute so much goddamn credit to this film for, James Stewart, who will arguably be best known for his involvement with Hitchcock movies like Rear Window, like Vertigo. This is him at his absolute bloody best. He is such a charming character in this.
That's
and
great.
I think it's testament to director Frank Capra. Remember, this came out in 1946, and James Stewart served in the war.
Yeah.
He had no intention of coming back into acting. Like, for him, it was like, no, I'm suffering from PTSD, basically, like, I'm done. And they got him back into acting, and he delivered what I believe is his career best performance.
Do you know what? Now that you break it down that way, there's also a side that says to me, I wonder if it was a bit of therapy.
Might have been. Playing something so good after seeing something.
Yeah, and again, for anyone who's served in the war, they're like, what was all of this for? And that shows you, had you not done that sacrifice that you did, the world may be a different place. Interesting.
therapy hour with the Silver Screen Days.
Oh, there we are. We're not just entertainment people. Okay, right, over to me for my number 2. This was the punt from earlier.
Yeah.
We're off to see them. The wonderful.
Well, hang on. I think we got the same one here. Boom!
Hey, we got there in the end. Mate, I know you've not been the biggest fan of this film, dare I say. Is that the best way to word it? Come again?
I respect it for what it did, but it's not for me.
I just can't not picture The Wizard of Oz. I think is the best way to word it. It's one of those films that I've just seen as a kid, and it's just lasted.
And that's why we're different, mate. You saw it as a kid. Wait, sorry. I saw it 2 years ago. How the hell it evaded me for that long, I don't know.
These stuff happen. I mean, look at the era. We say that, but everyone in our age group, we've just listed a whole load of other films that they've probably heard of, and it's just, it was of the same era. People older than us as well, dare I say. Wizard of Oz, I think it's another one I could quote my grandmother for being a fan of as well, so it's got a sentimental value to it. But it's an adventure. It's one of those pleasant adventures you can enjoy as a kid. And I think it's just lasted with me that you look back and you see the Cowardly Lion, you're like, okay. And I've seen, we've got the Tin Man there. I've seen Terminator. We know it could go better than that. Like, the Scarecrow I could probably still deal with, actually. Out of most people, he will get my best part of it. Yeah, and it's got everything. There are 2 films that I always think of as a kid that put a smile on my face when you think of this kind of technicolor and brightness, and one's years later on. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, you've got that same kind of sense of mad adventure in there. And it's always worked for me. Here you've got your flying monkeys, your yellow brick road, the grand reveal of the wizard. It's cheesy as hell, but it's great fun. It's great fun. There's nothing I can really, the story of Dorothy, who the tornado takes her away from Kansas, and here she is in Oz. And yeah, what can we say? Yeah, Judy Garland, and you
gotta throw the name out.
Yeah, you can't hate Judy Garland. You cannot. No. You cannot. And to me, this, I mean, there may be others, but this, if you ever say to me Judy Garland, there we are. Wizard of Oz pop in. It's that one. And to this day, if I see anyone in red shoes, I'll call them Dorothy. Yeah, you get that, man. Do you remember the roles of everyone? What each one wanted? I feel like putting a challenge out, but I'm not going to put it out there because we'll just delay waiting for everyone to.
I've seen it once, mate.
Okay.
No.
The lion who wanted courage, the Tin Man the Scarecrow wanted the brain, and the Tin Man who wanted the heart. There you go. And Dorothy who wanted to go home.
That's it. The message behind The Wizard of Oz, and it says it brilliantly at the beginning of the film. It's like, it will be relevant forever. The message behind it is great. It's not for me.
Fair enough.
Number nine, because I come from a place of I respect it. I respect what it did.
Cool. I get that.
So, are we doing a worst?
So I do have one. If you don't, I can understand that, and I respect it, because we were on a quest of finding greatness. We weren't looking out for worse. I did go on a bit of a quest.
Out there, but I have a feeling it's your number 1.
You've got to be kidding me. Go.
Gone with the Wind.
Excuse me 1 second. Right. That was a punt. Small punt, but it's a punt. Okay. We will talk, and we'll get into it. I just have to bring up my one. Reefer Madness. Right, and honestly, if you've not heard of it, I don't blame you. As I said, I went on a quest. I googled
sticky, icky, kush. What?
Do you know what?
What the hell?
So this film
doesn't feel like a classic film. This looks like a poster that was made trying to imitate a classic film.
To be fair, I might be wrong. I don't know if it's the official poster, but it was a widescreen one, and I was stuck with it. But this film is a public service announcement, essentially. I'm sure you can guess by Sticky Icky and Reefer. Oh, bear with me a second. Oh, Peggy, I hope that oh yes was that it's a classic and you agree with me. And that,
Yeah.
oh, hopefully that. I need please let me know that Gone with the Wind deserves to be a number one and not worst. I just need we'll get a rectification shortly. Yeah, this film is a public service announcement by all means. It's about an hour and something, right? And it's all about marriage, marijuana. It's with an H, yeah. It's with an H, how it was spelled. Yeah, marijuana. And it's this whole thing of how let's go kind of Nixon with the war on drugs, right? You're showing me heroin and all these other drugs that are out there, but there's this new one, marijuana, right? And the way they try to portray this is that you've got the most wholesome, picket fence Americans out there, and then there's these parents who have given people that they're drug dealers, so they've given it to some of the teens to taste the drugs. First of all, you can see this one piano player, right, who's smoking his cigarette, and then he goes off for a break. And I swear to you, I don't even guys, I haven't done a lot of
stoned piano player.
Dude, I wish it was stoned. They made him look, and I'm not joking, they made it look like Mr. Hyde. And I'm going to do this on a wide just for you guys to kind of picture it, right? He's gone for a break, and he's now gone for the sticky icky, the marijuana, right? And he's like, I'm not kidding, right? It was like, I don't smoke, but I have never seen anyone take a drag of weed and act like that. Like, for the podcasters who were catching this after and not on podcast, right? Who weren't watching this on a virtual platform, it was so ridiculous. It was like he was convulsing. I couldn't believe it. Then you've got this couple who were there together, and he goes around to the friend's house with the family who are giving away the weed, and he's gone from I don't know if I should smoke that, and he smoked it, and now you can see him. He's now vanished. He doesn't go to his tennis matches anymore. His girlfriend hasn't seen him for 3-4 days. The family are like, where is he? The girlfriend's brother also happens to have tried weed. And this one's really funny because the dad asks the guy, oh, can you just take me up the road somewhere? It's like a bank, but I take it it's the dealer of the big cartel. As the dad's got out the car, the guy's like, do you have a spare cigarette? He gives him the weed, the marijuana, right? By the time the dad comes back, he's like, I'm ready to go, Jack. I'm red hot, Jack. And he's like speeding through town. He knocks over someone. Dare I say he clipped him. It was the worst way of trying to promote people, do not take drugs. Then a fight ensues. Someone gets shot. I don't even want to spoil it for you guys, but it's the worst stage fight I've seen in my life.
Yet violent.
All of this stuff. It was there's potentially a rape scene that I'm still not. I mean, again, very conservative, but all of this stuff, and I was like, guys, what? This was the worst public service announcement I have seen in my entire life. I was just cracking up at it. There was a part of it that, had we not needed the worst, it might have gone at a 10 for like the shits and giggles, as we call it. But I was just like, no. Okay, right. Thankfully, you are going first on this because we'll go to your. We've punted on your worst. I'll let you do your number one, and then we'll go to town with.
Well, I am honestly quite shocked. My number one has not come up on your list, mate.
Hit me.
Really, really shocked. And what I think is quite beautiful, and I didn't do this out of choice. I only realized when it became my number one. I was like, oh shit, nice. The oldest film on this list.
Go.
From 1930. All Quiet on the Western Front.
The name says it all. I'm just going to put my hand up in shame. It didn't even come up on the radar, funny enough. That's just sad. Okay, bear with me a second. I'm going to give you a wide.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now, this was the first, I guess, anti-war film ever made. Now, what's fascinating is that it very clearly says at the beginning, we're not taking a political stand. We're not saying war's good, war's bad. We're just showing you the dehumanizing effect that war has. Mate, you know that I like war films, of course. Even you appreciate war films. You've got your pocket now, your Full Metal Jacket, all the way up to your Hacksaw Ridges, your Saving Private Ryan's. Every single war film I have ever seen has taken ideas from this film. Every single scene I was watching, something going, that came from that, that came from that, that came from that. Unreal. The story is really simple. You're going to appreciate this because it's got a bit of a Das Boot about it. Das Boot, got shit from here, right? This is all told. It's set in World War I, obviously, because it's 1930. from the perspective of the Germans.
Aha.
And it kind of touches on what you said earlier. It's the perspective of the Germans. Now, it initially threw me because they're all played by Americans. So I was like, they're not even going to make, a slight effort here to, put on a bit of a Dutch accent. I appreciate that sounds a bit more like Bruno at the moment.
I was going to say, but I reserve judgment.
No, I tell you what, forgive me, huh? No, so there was zero effort made, but you get over that very quickly because the film is not about authenticity of the accent. It's about
The
showing
story.
the psyche of what war does to people. You've got to remember, World War One is very different to World War Two in terms of the way that the war was fought. World War Two, almost became mechanized warfare. You had these incredible Tiger tanks and Panzerschreck bazookas, culminating, of course, in the dropping of the atomic bomb on Japan. Bombs up, I should say, plural, too. It was mechanized warfare, the Second World War. World War One was all trench warfare. It was waiting for people to attack. It was waiting to attack, literally looking across a few miles of field at each other, knowing that one of you eventually is going to attack the other, and knowing that the nature of the game is that when you attack, the likelihood of you dying is pretty damn high, because you're essentially running into a barrage of bullets. So you've got to remember that's the rules of engagement with which World War One was fought. So pretty fucking, sorry, pardon my French, pretty terrifying if you consider that when you attack, pretty much 9 out of 10 going to die, right?
Mm.
Now, what's brilliant about this film is that it starts in a classroom. It starts with a teacher preaching to his, sort of penultimate or last year students saying, fight for the fatherland. Freaking the tattoo I've got on my leg, but that it's on my leg in irony. Dulce et decorum est pro patria mori. It's a sweet and righteous honor to die for your country, right? That's the lie that these young boys are being sold. And then yes, we'll fight for the fatherland. Then they go to the training, and the training, full metal jacket. That's where that inspiration comes from. Then once they've done their training, they actually end up on the front line, on the trenches. All that glorification of Dulce et decorum est out the window.
Yeah.
And what the film does that's so freaking clever, when people were watching Game of Thrones, there was that recurring joke, don't get attached to anyone that isn't Tyrion.
Yeah.
Because you knew Tyrion was going to be okay because he was George R.R. Martin's
Yeah.
So you knew he was fine. Beyond Tyrion, don't get attached to anyone in Game of Thrones because you don't know, 1 minute to the next the character could be killed. Game of Thrones got that shit from this film because there is no central character. The movie kind of
open field, if you would, yeah.
Tricks you into thinking that, okay, we're going to focus on this guy, and then freaking out of nowhere, dead. And it delivers the deaths of all these characters with such a carefree, dehumanizing nonchalance. It's like, yeah, dead, next. Very much reflecting the fact that this is essentially what these young boys were. Freaking cannon fodder. The fact that one of them actually comes back and is brought into school, before he goes off on his second service. And the teacher says, oh, he was one of my students. Tell the whole class what it's like. And he's there going, no. Hell no. You don't know what it is to fight. And that's essentially, even relate that to Wilfred Owen's famous poem, Dulce et decorum est. Dulce et decorum est. What it's essentially about. That's what World War One was. Old men talking and young men dying. And even if they somehow do survive, they're not the same after. Because even when you're being shot at, you're in the trenches, sitting in, rotting water, having to deal with legionnaires.
Bro, essentially people dying right next to you, but still having to continue.
Dying next to you or dead next to you for days on end and just rotting next to you, Human life reduced to nothing more than a corpse in sewage water.
Yeah.
And I'll spoil this part. No one lives. There's no survivors.
Interesting.
And that's
kind of wish I didn't hear that, but fair enough.
It doesn't make a difference. It does not make a difference when you know who, because it's not about do they die, do they not. because that's just the fact of World War One. If you fought in that war, pretty much you're a dead man. There's not a mystery to that. That's just history. It's
Interesting.
how they die. And the fact that the film is delivered with such a next.
Interesting.
And it's really violent. Like there's a scene that literally made me jump out my seat. Jesus.
Wow.
British officer. I won't spoil it, but there's a number of hyper violent. Because remember, 1930 pre-code.
Yeah.
There's no code of ethics by which the movie industry has to abide by yet. There's no censorship. Show what the fuck you want.
Yeah. Interesting.
This film,
you got me.
Blew my mind.
You got me.
I was expecting, given that it's set in World War One, portrayal of the dehumanization of the human spirit and all that. Jesus Christ, did I get that and something more?
Nice. Nice. I like it. Right. So I'm now going to take the time. I'm sold. Sorry. There's not much more I can say. I'm sold. I will definitely check that out. I'm going to move on to my number one and your potential worst, because I know you said if you had to draw for a worst, it would be that. I'm just going to put this up. Right? I'll let that linger while I change screen. How can you hate this film?
I haven't seen this film.
You haven't?
No.
So
before you get into it, and I'm hoping you can correct everything I'm about to say. The reason I was going to say I would potentially put it at my worst.
Okay.
Any hatred for it. You can't hate something you haven't
seen. Yeah.
That would be moronic. Is it? This is a rhetorical question which will lead into a real question. Is it relevant, and should it be still engaged with given what's going on in the world? Because bear in mind, HBO recently removed this.
Right. Okay.
They did put it back because there was a freaking outrage about. Listen, it's a product of its time. Leave it be, which I think is the right thing to do. Disney did it with Dumbo. They said, "Look, there's some shit we're not proud of in here, but it's there."
Okay. I'm gonna
potentially put this as the worst is because Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
Beyond
it's so far from that. Just going back to what you put on for All Quiet on the Western Front, I just want to put this out there for you. Completely agree with Nico's number one. Have you guys seen M?
Yes, Metropolis.
But was it that or Dial M for Murder? Which one are we talking?
M is going to be Metropolis.
Okay, but both very good ones. Thank you very much, YG. Yeah, good point, actually. Do you know what? I kind of moved away from if we're talking Metropolis, it's not entirely silent, but it's a great film. I'm not going to hate on it. Sorry, I just saw the statement, so I kind of deviated. But no, great shout. Very, very great shout. It's been a while since I've seen it, and I touched on so many new films that I didn't really go back, aside from Pinocchio. Right. Just say no, it's true. What it is. Going to Gone with the Wind. It is so much more. Yes, it's the North versus the South with the Confederate flag and what have you. The war is in the background, right? The Confederates, as much as they have their slaves, it's not the UN go do this and treating them as subordinates. They're actually they are slaves because essentially that's what they are. But they're
they are. Right, okay.
Bro, Fritz Lang movie. I'm sure I've seen this. It's definitely not Metropolis. I had. Do you know what? YG. I'm not gonna lie. I watched it for uni for that brief stint I was there. No, guys, study. Don't pay attention to what I just said. But we'll look into it again. It's a great film.
I've never seen it.
I do. Fritz. I remember it so much in uni. But again, 1985 brain. We're going back. But no, you have every right for that to be mentioned. Every right. YG, thank you very much. And again, guys, this is the interaction we were looking for. No, Gone with the Wind. Yeah, you do have slaves, but they have a relationship. Essentially, I'm not. Oh my god. Anyone listening? This is the black guy talking. Anyone watching? No, I have not sold out. I am not All Lives Matter or anything else along that line. I have not gone down that route. Okay. And I'm not saying, they treated their slaves well, so they're better oppressors. No. But look, how can I say? You take it for what it was in its time. The
Yeah.
real story is the spoilt brat who has her ranch. She has her way of getting around with men, and then you have Clark Gable, who is always he comes in and out. That they keep meeting and coming out of each other's lives, and he doesn't stand for her right? He doesn't take it, and it is a love story.
Yeah,
It's long. Listen, bro, I'm still being slightly polite, but yeah, he doesn't take her shit, and it's the more she comes in, the more he frustrates her, the more he does stuff. It leads into this relationship that they actually. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but they actually end up. He's always said to her, "Look, I want you." Then he's like, "I don't care." Then it's, "I want you," and then they actually get married because he is the saving grace to her for her to keep her land, right? And she is very manipulative. Like, I'm being very broad on the steps. It's near enough 4-hour movie, like to highlight every part.
One of the reasons I didn't have a chance to watch.
Bro, do you know what? This Seven Samurai was one of the films, but this was the first film that I watched that I saw the intro music at the beginning. I thought, I have a dodgy file. I was like, what the hell's going on? I saw interlude. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, it blew me. But having stuck with the film, it was actually really enjoyable. To a degree, again, this goes back to when we were told, oh, you guys just quoted a one-liner mysteriously. I was like, okay, do it now because I knew this was coming as well. And the more of it, there was a point, I won't lie, when it got to interlude, and don't get me wrong, I know I can pause, but when it got to interlude, I was like, oh, thank God, and I got up and I started stretching my legs and stuff. I was like, yeah, I will benefit from this. But it says enough that I didn't pause it. It is actually a really good film. And a lot of people are like, 4 hours. It has enough to keep you up. You've got the war in the background. You see the effects of the war of she's really into someone. Some stuff happened to him. He gets injured. He's interested in another woman. There's all these other bits that go into it. It is a love story, essentially. The same way we talk about Pearl Harbor, the same way we talk about Titanic. It's like, how did you manage to make a film with the backdrop being a war or something tragic? This is another example of that. Yeah? I will not. It's very hard to say there is mistreating because you do have some. But you do have. It's a white woman who owns slaves. There's no promotion of that, but it's not in one of those ways that it's like, you stupid and you don't know what you're talking about. There's a slight sense of you believe you're better than someone, but for God's sakes, Bruce Wayne could say that to Alfred if he wanted to.
Whoa.
No, bro. What I'm saying is the context of the film. I'm not likening. There is no likening in that. But do you get what I'm saying? In the tone of the relationship they have is someone who has a person working for them. You can see it in other films in other ways. It's not one of those. It's not Birth of a Nation. It's not that. Is what I'm trying to hint at.
Film. I'm talking about the 1915 film, obviously.
Yeah. But this is what I'm hitting on. It's not that kind of. It's not this strong portrayal of we are going to make black people look inferior. Okay, yes, you do have the shucking and jiving kind of talk. Oh yes, man. Oh, I've never brought up a baby before. Like, but it was what it was. It's a timepiece, but it's not by any means blatantly offensive, right? And it's a black guy saying this. Like, I don't want to keep calling the color card, but it's maybe I'm too liberal to a degree, and some people are highly offended by it. It's not like Roots where you're going through the history and thinking, oh my God, these people. No, it's not that. It's a love story with the background of the West, the North versus the South. How can you not show a slave if you're going to talk Confederate War?
Yeah. Mate, as I said, you don't need to sell me on it. I've been told.
Yeah, no. But I'm just saying, like, when you ask for it is a.
Gone in the Wind is an all-time. I believe it's my grandmother's all-time favorite movie.
Sorry, just put that up there again. Oh yes, Gone with the
Wind. Favorite movie. It's beloved. I'm pretty sure Bianca loves this film. I think. Yeah.
No, it's a nice story. And when you see someone getting their comeuppance, but you can't help but she's the main person in the film. You can't help but love her. Sometimes you're like, you little witch. But along the way, Clark Gable, you need him in the film, But it's I believe is her name Vivian Lee. I'm sure it's Vivian Lee. But yeah, like it's great. It was really, the minute I saw it, I was like, you know what, this is probably going to be my number one. And I didn't want it to be. I actually didn't want it to be, which is weird. Because I just thought it's going to be long-winded and where's it going? Come again?
Because it's too much of an obvious choice.
Bro, part of it had been an obvious choice, and that whole fact of, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And you hear a 4-hour film, you're like, I bet this is going to, excuse the French, suck balls. But, like, I was like, you know what? It was actually really enjoyable. Like, I remember going back, because the missus, and it's not wedding, the other half, whichever way you want to call it. But her mum was a fan, and she had it on Virgin Record, you know, TiVo, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that soon. And when it was brought up, Tammy didn't want to know. Tammy's stepdad didn't want to know. They were like, oh, God, Gone with the Wind. I came back the week after because I've been, you know, legally traveling. And I was like, you know what, Jackie, got to agree with you. Gone with the Wind. It's a wonderful story.
Okay.
Wonderful. It's a nice story.
It's on my computer, ready to watch.
Good.
It.
I hear you.
You started the whole show by saying, you know what? When we've got Oklahoma Kid at an hour 20 minutes long, and we got Gone with the Wind at over 3 hours, it's very hard to balance some films.
This is the one.
Even with the global bastard at the moment, I appreciate we have plenty of time. It's hard fitting a law.
Bro, it is very hard. It is very, very hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is a tough one.
We have something to do now.
We do indeed. We're not going to do the whole. Some of you might. Hey, that's the one. Okay, you're going to do that. I'm going to do a tad of promotion one more time. Bear with me a second. Oh, not that one. Sorry, just throw it out there. I'm a git. We have many platforms. Have to throw it out there. It wasn't N, it was MOW. Just before anyone. Anyway. This is film. We have people watching. We can't dally on as much as we have. Thank you for sticking with us for these 2 hours and 10 minutes. Right. It's Rushmore time.
It's Rushmore time.
It's Rushmore time.
I'd love to hear if the people are still watching. Comment below what you guys.
Yeah, guys. Now's your chance.
We've
always said we'd like to see where you go. We've always said we'd like to see where you go on this. Now, what's really funny is we don't really have much in normal, and where they are, they're in like different angles. The only one that really sticks to me right now is Robin Hood.
Okay.
Like, it's a weird one, but it's there.
Your first time listening, if it's your first time watching us, which I imagine probably is because we're live streaming now. Let me just lay down the rules and stipulations.
You do that. I'm just going to work on something, so you'll just see me. I'm just going to give you that.
Are the 4 quintessential movies. It's not necessarily what your favorite is, because there's been numerous times where there's a movie that I've loved and it could have been my number one, but I've got, I'll have the whereabouts to know that I love it, but I don't think that film has more of a place on this list. So just look up at that big Mount Rushmore and the 4 faces of the topic that you want to see on there. The topic, obviously, this week being 1930 to 1949. What are the 4 films that perfectly make up this period? Remember, one of the huge things about the Rushmore as well is not just about picking the most popular, it's also about educating, and entertaining. So maybe picking movies that sum it up well, but not necessarily are your favorite, but you can objectively acknowledge, yeah, maybe not for me. For example, I don't like The Wizard of Oz. Not for me, but I respect it, and I acknowledge that there is certainly an argument for it to be made to be in the Rushmore. So it's not necessarily about what you like. Sometimes, like I said, with Wizard of Oz, it can be something that you don't necessarily like, but that you acknowledge has its place on the list.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. I want to fight for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, geez. Do you know what? You've just given me... Sorry. While you were doing that, I was working on something, and it looks like I didn't save it, and I'm peed off. You have convinced me with that. Okay, I am going to type while I'm doing this, but no, forget it. I created a banner and I didn't save it. Okay. Unless you have a very strong argument for All Quiet on the Western Front, I will do it again. But short of that, I can't really argue with you on that. It seems like a film that deserves to be mentioned. Yeah. All Quiet on the Western Front. Okay. Wizard of Oz. As much as you said it again, bro, it feels like one of those films that has lasted the test of time. It's the first of Technicolor. It's so much to it that it's a classic. It's an all-time classic that's been quoted by people. You just watched it at the wrong time, unfortunately.
Correct you on one thing. It's not the first Technicolor. Robin Hood came out a year before, and Fantasia came out. No, I lied. Fantasia came out after, but Robin Hood definitely.
For some reason, do you know what? I've heard this argument before, but they all seem to quote it as the first one. I'm not sure if Robin Hood was coloured as opposed to Technicolor.
Maybe. Could be right.
Do you have any opposition to this?
Other than the fact that I don't particularly like it. No, I don't have a lot of opposition. Listen, it is a. What are the contenders before we start putting things on?
I feel like we should pay attention to YG and put M in there, even though neither of us remember it. I mean, there is King Kong.
I haven't seen it.
There is King Kong. Jekyll and Hyde, I'm not going to fight for too hard. I do like the Gay D4C. The Gay D4C has something for me.
Charlie Chaplin being on there with The Great Dictator.
Do you think it's one of the all-time? I mean, it's his first talkie.
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, that part I agree. That part, it's a tough one. I could shelf that one. I'm not totally opposed to it because I had a feeling it would be there, but I don't know otherwise. I feel like I'm just being polite because it's
Oklahoma Kid. I'm not going to fight hard to be on that. I did Scarface.
Ooh, I think that should be because people need to know that there's a different version of Scarface out there.
Yeah,
and that I can work with. For sure. That is a good one. That is a very good one. Bear with me a second. The Scarface. Okay, bear with me a second.
I've got two in there.
I would like to put Gone with the Wind. If you want to go two each.
Yeah. We might have to just trust each other's better judgment on this one.
Yeah.
We've got such a different list from each other.
Yeah. Bear with me a second. So I've got 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah. I can work with that. I can work with those if you are willing to do that as well. Just two each?
You picked your two, yeah?
I do. I have indeed.
Ready, sir?
Right, ready?
You want to settle it on that? There haven't been any comments that have come through.
No, not what, guys. Now is your chance. If there is a film, do you know what? Let's just put this out there. At number 10, Pinocchio. At number 9, The Great Dictator. 8, His Girl Friday. 7, Robin Hood, Errol Flynn. King Kong, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Holiday Inn, The Gay Divorcee. Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind.
The Great Dictator, The Wizard of Oz, Bringing Up Baby, The Maltese Falcon, The Oklahoma Kid, Scarface, Fantasia, The Adventures of Robin Hood, It's a Wonderful Life, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Did we put It's a Wonderful Life on last time? Because just hearing it gives me the shivers. But here we go. Thank you, Peggy, very much for this. Peggy's top 4 are King Kong, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and The Great Dictator. Gone with the Wind, King Kong, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and yeah.
The Great Dictator.
Yeah. No, for some reason I keep counting 3, but yeah, it's definitely 4. Oh, we have YG. All Quiet on the Western Front, It's a Wonderful Life, Charlie and any Charlie Chaplin. Tough one though. Good shout.
Yeah, M for the sole reason that I haven't seen M, I can't vouch for it.
Do you know what? Charlie Chaplin's got a good vote. Chaplin's done it, but then who do we sacrifice? Because clearly Chaplin deserves a recognition.
We two people have commented. Chaplin. It's by his admission, it's his greatest work. Also, another thing to mention on all of this is that we do the 4 movies that we eventually pick. There is a poll that goes out on our Twitter feed, and once again, you guys have a chance to pick the top 1. So the fact that the comments we've had come through so far have both said Chaplin.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna challenge you here.
Why am I being challenged? Why are you not being challenged? Why am I the one taking on? What's this?
Because it's Wizard of Oz. That's the only one I could sacrifice. I'm not sacrificing Gone with the Wind, and Peggy agrees with me with Gone with the Wind.
I'm fine with that.
And yeah, so I'm going to challenge Scarface. As much as I want to see it, and I'd like to put it out there for the edutainment, I would like the battle of the big boys being, yeah, yeah.
You're going to make me take Scarface off the damn list.
And Peggy said Chaplin is top. Bro, so if I know it. I know we'd like to do the whole first, but listen to this list and then tell me if you have an argument with it. Gone with the Wind, All Quiet on the Western Front, Scarface, and The Great Dictator. That's a battle to go out for. I don't. Scarface would sadly lose because, and if it won, it's because everyone's going to think Tony Montana. Then we'd have to admit it. Just saying. Such
a freaking good film. So we're putting Scarface. We're literally being populist here. So we're putting Scarface out for the sake of the big four. Yeah.
Oh, love it, YG. Really edutaining pod, guys. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for the top 10 opening scenes I recommended. Oh, sorry, YG. I know you told me about this. YG, love it. I just got to ask, maybe Nico knows, but I'm going to ask you just so we can blast it up on screen. Where are you from, YG? Where what part of town? Where in the globe are you?
I'll respond.
We'll get a response because there's a couple of seconds delay. If you really want to battle, I don't know what we could take off, because to me that sounds like a Rushmore right there.
But you said Scarface in that format.
No, I took it off. That's what I said. I did.
Yeah. You just said
oh, because no, yeah, because I was meant to replace that with Wizard of Oz.
That's a good Rushmore, you know.
You can't fight it. You can't fight it. Yeah. I think it's the one.
There's room for edutainment there in the sense that I haven't seen Gone with the Wind and you haven't seen All Quiet on the Western Front. So even within our little bubble, we've still got that.
Yeah.
Tip. Okay. I'll bite. I'll give it. I'll submit. But everyone listening and everyone watching, I implore you, please. I know Peggy said she's already going to do it, but I implore you.
I'm down. You got my vote as well.
Go and see the old Scarface.
Oh, YG! YG! You're in Mayans, my G. West London, West Side, Ealing. Love it.
North
big stuff. So, yeah, okay. No, I think that is the one. That is the one, guys. So, let's go with it.
I'm going to do this without a corner of a desk. I know. Wait. I'm a bit self-conscious doing this on camera. You know that.
Do you want me to do it?
You can't do my voice. Stop it.
Can we? No, you can do the voice. I was going to do the tapping for you.
It's the voice I'm self-conscious about.
Oh, behave. We've done worse.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official movie Mount Rushmore of classic films from 1930 to 1949, in no particular order, is
Gone with the Wind.
You better tap. I don't have any tapping surface.
Hopefully it's what.
Our second entry is
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Our third entry is
Wizard of Oz.
Our final entry into the movie Mount Rushmore of classics from 1930 to 1949 is
The Great Dictator.
We need to get a bongo, you know?
We need to get something. We definitely do. But okay, guys, we've really taken up your time and we appreciate you for sticking in there.
Yes.
Those are the 4 films that are out there. You now have the choice to vote which is the greatest film of that time period, okay? You have a chance to vote between ourselves at, I'm going to put this out there. So first of all, you have Movie Polls for You on Twitter. And you can also contact us via those platforms there. So at Movie MT Rushmore is also another option. Oh, we have a comment as well. Oh, Peggy, yeah, Peggy loves the Rushmore. Thank you very much. There's a yes there. Yeah, we are all in. So, guys, the choice is up to you now. We battled and got through it. The choice is now there. Head on over to at Movie Polls for You on Twitter and at Movie MT Rushmore and vote out of the 4 films that we just quoted, which is the greatest film. Come again?
Yeah, the best.
The best. Sorry, 1930 to 1949. Your choices are Gone with the Wind, All Quiet on the Western Front, Wizard of Oz, The Great Dictator. The choice is yours. Jonathan says, I've only watched Wizard of Oz and Adventures of Robin Hood, so definitely need to watch the top 4. Enjoy them. You definitely will enjoy them, my friend. You
Also
definitely
Scarface.
Oh, he's seen Scarface as well. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Scarface as well.
That's the one. No.
The other, before actually going into what we usually do, I'd also like to remind everyone what we said at the top of the show. This is episode 100.
Part 1.
100. It's a two-parter. So we've done movies from 1930 to 1949. Next week, probably on the same day, we are going to do part 2, which is movies from 1950 to 1969. It's coming again. We would love you to all join us again. For the time being, though, as AJ said, you have a little poll to fill in. Well, not fill in. It's literally a vote to cast. Just head over to our Twitter feed.
Click on the button.
Head over to our Twitter feed. The poll will be pinned right to the top. The poll will be out tomorrow. We always publish polls on Friday. So yeah, pretty much first thing in the morning, poll is out and it's up for 3 days. You only get one vote. Put your vote in, and then we announce the winner on next week's show. But for now, need more time to decide between Great Dictator and Gone with the Wind. But yeah, right.
Very tough. Very tough.
Very tough choice. But the poll will be on Twitter, and we will reveal the overall winner next week.
Indeed.
For now, we have our winner to reveal from the previous week. Not so much for the live show, but for our regular podcast listeners. The topic last week, the polls. Again, we want to shout out We Love Movies, that movie polls for you, who are our official podcast poll
Partners.
host and our partners. So last week, we put out the top 10 film scores, excluding John Williams, because for those of you who are watching live, we did a specific episode on John Williams. So Jaws, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all of that is all John Williams. That didn't make the list. Okay? So excluding John Williams, what were our final 4? The final 4 were The Pink Panther, Mission Impossible, Avengers, and James Bond. And the bottom 3 were really tight. Top 1 ran away with it.
Okay, I'm going to take a stab just based on iconicity and length. It's the baby of the group, Avengers, right?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
Hit me.
So,
Pink Panther.
there was only 3% separating the bottom 3.
Wow.
So in at number 4, the 4th entry with 19% of the vote was The Pink Panther. In at number 3 with 20% of the vote, so only a 1% difference, 20% of the vote, Mission Impossible.
Wow.
In at number 2 with 22% of the vote,
Avengers.
And the top film score voted for by you with 39% of the vote was John Barry's James Bond.
Had to be. Congratulations, Mr. Bond. Had to be. It's lasted the test of time.
And I did it last week. I'm going to do it this week. Ding, 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 ding,
Da-na-na. That is the one. Okay, guys. Look, we've taken up your time. It's getting to that time, and I just have to thank each and every one of you, guys. This isn't going anywhere, so just share the links, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook. We'll actually have it on our Twitter as well, so you can retweet it there. We thank you for this. Thank you for being with us from episode none to episode 100, part 1. We will catch you for episode part 2. No, it's been a real honor. You guys have stuck with us even through this episode. Some of you had to run, we get it. But we thank you and we love each and every one of you all over, whether it's Fargo, whether it's India, whether it's Croydon, whether it's Ealing. So guys, just nothing but love. Argentina, of course. I would never forget Argentina. Just got to put a huge thank you out to all of you. Normally I do a huge spiel. I've got to do it for those listening. If you would like to catch up more from the Silver Screen Dudes, it is at movie MT Rushmore on Twitter, Silver Screen Dudes on Facebook and Instagram, and www.silverscreendudes.com, which will just give you the overall general how you can catch all of those links plus the individual works that we do.
And remember, guys, episode 100 part 2 is next week. We'll aim to do it Thursday, 3 p.m., but we will send out reminders once again to friends, family, and all our fans on socials. Thanks, everyone, for the comments below.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure having you. It was great interacting with you. Hopefully, we get to see you all next week, time permitting, of course. That is all from me. I guess that's all from us.
That's the one. Just get voting, guys. We do this on pod.
The
First
poll-
time we're doing it virtually.
The poll will be out tomorrow on Twitter, not today.
That's the
so
one.
don't-
Friday,
don't worry about
Friday,
them,
depending
it'll
on
be
when
out.
you're watching. Yeah. Okay, so until the next time, I am the one AJ.
And I am Nico Luro.
See ya.